We are live. Welcome back to the channel. Looks like we got 9 people in here. We'll kind of wait a few seconds before we really get going. But we have Pokey Any with us. Brian, he's the owner of he's the owner of a full-scale Pokemon business. We were just talking beforehand. Does over $3 million in sales a year. And so we're not talking any like closet in your bedroom type thing here. They run a pretty legitimate operation, and I think it's going to be good to hear about all the ins and outs of that. So, Brian, if you kind of just want to take it away and just kind of give an background of yourself and an idea of exactly what brought you into the hobby and I guess kind of what you do day to day, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah. Number one, I'm on that little Streamyard thing. Should I see comments on here or should I have YouTube pulled up too?
Can you not see the comments on StreamYard?
No, unless no one said anything.
You may have to pull up. So just go to like my channel, pull up, the live stream and just put it on mute. You can do that as well. Hey, and before you take it away, I do want to mention a couple things. One, I did have a couple people reach out to me on Instagram about the merch. And yes, I did look into it, and Stream Elements is under maintenance from 3 a.m. this morning until 3 a.m. tomorrow morning. So that's why the site's down. That's why you're not able to get on it. So anytime like tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, you should be able to hop on there and order shirt, hat, whatever you were wanting to do. But yes, it is down. It wasn't, it's not like the site's down. The link isn't bad. It's just the site is under maintenance. And then the second thing is, a couple people left some, I guess, little extreme comments. I'm not seeing them in the chat, but I see them on Stream Elements. I just wanted to say that I didn't delete your comments. I don't do that. I don't even have YouTube set to monitor the comments, but for some reason, I guess it automatically monitors some of them. So Terry Lake was one of the people. And then, so basically what I'm saying is if your comment isn't coming up, it's not me, silencing you or anything. It's just I don't know, YouTube they cut some of the stuff out. I don't know what to do about that. So with all that being said, Brian, go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, so my name's Brian. I own PokeAny.com with my wife and my 2 dogs. Everyone always asks, they're like, oh, how'd you get started? But been a Pokemon fan since 1st grade. Black Elk Elementary School, hunting for imaginary Gengars on our school playground. So we had imagination. Grew up with the video games mostly. We collected the cards until I decided I don't buy things anymore. I'm real minimalist as a kid too. But played every video game, loved it. Me and my friends, the same friends since I was 7. So we grew up with this stuff together. Named our first dog Eevee. I got the starters engraved on my wedding ring. Always loved Pokemon. Not a collector of cards much after childhood, but obviously got back into it. Entrepreneurial my whole life. Had a bunch of little failed ventures. eBay mostly stuff from garage sales, thrift worlds. Thank you. All that good stuff. And at some point I found a hole in the market during COVID with Japanese versus English product, and you couldn't get English product. And so I was like, hey, found a connection with Japan and provided that to the people. And that's basically how we got. And I could go specific with any of that, but that's kind of like the very 30-second definition of how I started.
So yeah, I mean, the first thing that obviously stands out to me, so don't collect any of it, but you're this involved. I mean, it's that much of a part of your life. So I mean, how do you balance that? How do you, how are you around this stuff all day, every day? I mean, I'm sure you like it. You like the stuff, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you hold off and not buy anything?
I mean, that's a good question. I don't like to buy things. I get extremely stressed out by for just the most extreme examples. If someone gives us a mug for Christmas, I donate that crap because we only have 6 mugs upstairs. They're all the same. If we get pens that aren't this brand of pen, it's in the trash. I'm weird. I'm very extreme. I don't buy anything. I buy video games to play and then I sell them on eBay. So it's just kind of in my nature. People are like, oh, you must be so tempted to open product. And I think there is a truth to that, but I get all of my like temptation out doing rip and ship. So I still get the thrill of opening them and seeing them and whatnot, but I don't need to own them. And I mean, we've made plenty of money doing this business. I've never paid myself. My wife's a teacher, so we live a pretty modest life. So there's not really a lot of temptation. I don't like things.
Okay. And then I know we talked a little bit before we got on live, but obviously my channel, it's a Pokemon investing channel.
Yeah.
It's built around that. But you said you don't even, hold any of the products like for long term. Everything is for sale. You try to, flip through it, regain the capital, buy a new product, and it's just a constant, wash everything in and out. So, do you ever see the prices like jump way high on things and wish you would have held? I mean, have you ever like held some things for multiple months or a year? Like, have you ever done long-term stuff, or is it all just like as fast as it comes in, it goes out?
Yeah, so we call that churn and burn here. And on the Japanese side, I don't have any ethical dilemmas holding on to things because I'm not like an official vendor. There's no such thing. So there's plenty of stuff on the Japanese side. I'm like, damn it, I should have held it. For example, just we started in 2021 and we were selling Dream League boxes for $75, Tag Team All Stars GX boxes for $70. And now those are like $400 boxes. And I had a whole gun safe full of them. So if I just held on to those for a year and a half, I mean, I'd be doing pretty well. But when like we basically started, we started with 3 Sky Legends boxes, and I put like $100 down, if that, and that's all the money we ever put into the business was just 150. But we've never added more money ever. So you kind of need to churn and burn because like if you can turn $100 of Sky Legends into $140, well, you take that and you buy an extra box of Sky Legends. And we've just kind of kept that mentality. So you can't be upset. Like right now, if I would have held on to, I don't even know, if I would have held on to any set really in the past, Double Blaze in the past year, I'd be looking good. But you need capital to run this thing. And so you don't have time to like sit and wait for Double Blaze to go up. Just like a card shop doesn't have time to grade all the singles they get. They need to churn and burn them. With English stuff, obviously like that stuff grows too. And I keep about 1 case of every set I get from the warehouse because I'm an official vendor for English. But for English, it's more of an ethical dilemma because it's like I have these connections that no one else does. Like I'm plugged up. I got 466 boxes of Paldea Evolved on the way, and I'm getting them for very cheap. So I could hold all 400 boxes of that, and I'd be fine. I have enough money laying around where I'd be fine, and I could hold those for I don't know, a year, 2 years, 3 years, and double my money, whatever my money. But that's 466 less boxes out in the world. And I feel like as someone with my connection, I have like this responsibility to put them out. If I feel like the price is going to go up on them, I will charge MSRP like to slow down sales because no one's paying MSRP on Paldea Evolved. They're all paying $115. So if I feel like, ooh, this set will go up, I can't charge over MSRP because I'm an official vendor and that'd be like ethically wrong. But I'll put up MSRP assuming no one will buy, and then that'll give the market time to go up. So, that's kind of the vibe.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, I think that kind of leads us into a super interesting area that, every store operates different, I think, especially, if you're brick and mortar, if you're what you do, if you're kind of like smaller, maybe just like, like, I don't know if you know Retrospecs, he's in the chat. He's flipping full time now. But I don't know if he has distribution. I don't think he does. But what is the majority of your business? I mean, are you making the majority of your money on sealed product, whether it be Japanese or English? Do you do a lot with singles? I mean, you said you don't really do any grading. Like, where's the majority of your income come from?
It's pretty much all sealed product. I think singles is very confusing and stressful, and you need a lot of space in your mind and physically for that. Sealed product's just easier. It takes up a finite amount of space. It's easy to count them. There's not as well, there's a lot lately, but there's not as much volatility. It's not like You know what I mean? It's like there's so much less to keep track of. In any given set, there's say 150 different cards. That's a lot of things. If I can keep track of one box of triplet beat and see, oh, now it's up to $80, now it's down, way easier. I just don't have time for the singles thing. I know it works for people, like good for retrospects, and everyone else. It's just I think you got to pick one or the other.
Gotcha. I mean, what you're saying is like 100% of your business is sealed product.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. Okay. And then, I mean, are you mostly Japanese? Has it always been that way, or did you used to English? Is it what
Yeah.
kind of is a
So
split?
what is? I'd be interested to look at the split. I should know that, but it started as 100% Japanese when COVID lockdowns were everywhere. Because in America you couldn't buy English cards. It looked like Black Friday every time the distro would deliver them to Target. And I was already on eBay all the time. Like that was my full time job through a good chunk of college, just flipping stuff on eBay. And I found this Charizard card. It was a Grand Prix Illustrator Charizard, and people in America were paying like $24 for it. And people in Japan were getting it for free when they visited Japanese Pokemon centers. And so if you bought directly from Japan as a American, you'd get it for $11, but you'd have to pay shipping, which is like 6, and you'd have to wait 10 to 12 to 14 days. So I was like, okay, if I think I bought 200 of them. I'm like, if I buy 200 of these, I can get them for $9 instead of 11. And shipping is essentially free per card because, like, bulk shipping. And that's how I raised like a lot of money up front for this whole thing. But so it started with Japanese because there were Japanese Charizards, and then on TikTok, someone commented, "Hey, you should sell Japanese boxes too." And I was like, "Okay." So I found a supplier. I can go through all that if you want, but found a supplier, and we just did Japanese for like about a year, I think, 100%. And then we moved to like Japanese Weiss Schwartz, Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh. We kind of expanded, and then we got big enough to where we reached out to Southern Hobby English, and we started getting product from them. And like Brilliant Stars and Astral Radiance, Lost Origin, we got maybe 50 to 100 booster boxes, and now we're at the point where we've spent enough with them where we're getting like 400 to 500 booster boxes. I would guess like it's like 85% Japanese and like 15% English. Well, 85% Japanese, 15% English, and a minute percent Korean.
Yeah, actually, do go into that. Like you said, you can, because I know everyone watching this. I get this question all the time of like, oh, you just need to get distribution, or do you have distribution? And I don't think people really understand or appreciate how hard it is and how much of a like privilege it is to have distribution.
Mm-hmm.
I still hold I don't think you need distribution to invest in this stuff. If you're doing it long term, I mean, most of the sets you're at like a maybe $10-15 disadvantage on boxes, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Store gets them at 95, you can get them usually at 105, 110 maybe. I mean, if you're looking at long term when these boxes go to $200-300, that extra $10 you could have got them at, it's not like the end of the world. But as far as distribution goes, I mean, kind of go into that. Like, what was that process like? I mean, is it this like anyone can do, or is it pretty, held to like a select few? Like, kind of go in and let everyone know that story.
Yeah, for Japanese or English, or both.
Oh, is it you have different distributors for each?
Yeah, so Japanese, if you read like the back of a box, it says like straight up like not to be sold outside of Japan. So legally, distributors don't work directly with Americans. I basically have like a third party person that I get them from, which is why I'm not getting them at MSRP. If I got Japanese stuff at MSRP, I'd be rich. I mean, I'd be tens of millions of dollars, but that's not how it works. So for Japan, I mean, we found the guy on Instagram, and I did some sketchy stuff with eBay. I can go into that, but for English stuff, it was simply just pure resilience. You could go to Pokemon if you type into Google like Pokemon Center distributor list. It's literally on Pokemon Center's website, and there's I don't know, like 60 of them or so. And I just called all of them like 5 times in a couple months, and I basically just left messages nonstop. I basically spammed them, which, like, looking back, kind of cringe, but it worked. And once I got a hold of them, I got an email, and I was able to send them, like, my sales statistics from the Japanese stuff. And in all honesty, like, you need sales history if you even want a chance with these people. You can't just call them up, be like, "Yo, I want to start a Pokemon business." Like, it ain't gonna work. You don't need to be. I mean, you can have an eBay store, and if you have like good sales history, like anything helps. But 99.9% of them don't even work with online stores. You have to be brick and mortar. And even me at my level of sales, where I'm like, "Hey, I could give you guys a lot of money," that no one will return my phone calls. Like, if I want someone other than Southern Hobby. So if I can't get these people as an online store, you probably can't either. So consider like a brick and mortar if you want to go that route. Not trying to like gatekeep but I just don't waste your time, because if I can't do it, they're not going to let you do it unless you have more sales.
And
And
not to cut you off, but where would you say you were at in the business at about that time when you were trying to get the English distributor? Like, about
mm,
how much were you doing in sales? Like, did you have your website, or were you still selling on like the eBay? Like, where were you at during that time?
no, we were pretty well established. When did Brilliant Stars come out? When was that?
Uh, 2021, I believe.
Okay, it must have been late 2021. So we were probably in the business for like 10 months or so. Probably about 10 months. I don't know. We at that moment we were doing like 1,000,000. I think at that time we were doing 100,000 a month in sales. So it was like a convincing amount of sales um to
Hey,
where
I
I
was
think some.
wrong. I was wrong. It was February 22.
Okay, that makes more sense, cuz I was like, "Damn, that was early." That makes more sense cuz holiday really helped us with sales. So we started in February 2021. Our first 4 months, we were doing like 25 to 40,000 in sales per month, and then it really boomed, around like May, June, July, and by August, September, October, we were like in the 6 figures. Christmas time, we did like 200, and then I guess I got a hold of Southern Hobby in like February.
Wow. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So you're pretty well established. So just regular people out there, with an eBay store saying, "Hey, I sold 100K on eBay last year flipping stuff." Basically, you're saying they have a less than 1% chance of getting taken by any distributor.
Yeah, they have a 0% chance, and I don't say that to be negative. I'm just like, I'd rather have them focus on their business than waste their time like I did, because you're not hopeless. Like, Southern Hobby and all these other ones, they will open up the doors again, when Pokemon's less cool and less trendy. Uh, it's just they were so inundated by, like, little peons like me who started their own business that they kinda shut the doors, just like PSA did for a little bit. So instead of wasting your time, trying to get in contact with these people, I would suggest, like, building your business up without them and then going, "Hey, look what I did by myself. Look what we can do together."
Right. Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, on your like day-to-day operations, is it you just kind of, do you have to market it all? Do you have enough customer base now to where when you release it just sells out? I mean, do you keep a lot of inventory, or I mean, how does your like kind of day-to-day operations work? Because you don't have a brick and mortar, you work out of your home.
Out of my basement.
Yeah, so I mean, I see stuff on the shelves, but do you keep a lot of inventory, or do you just try to churn and burn it? Like as soon as you get it in, you kind of try to get the lowest price or close to the lowest price, or you have enough customer base in your website and it just kind of flows out, and how's that work?
Yeah, it depends on the product and the language. So with Japanese, we try to churn and burn pretty quickly, especially with the popular sets, like V-Star Universe. Basically, anytime we buy something, we can get rid of it quickly, and I don't mind making that's a low margin set because everyone wants it, and I don't really care what I let it go for, because if I sell 500 this week, I can just get 500 more. It's like churn and burn. With some of the English booster boxes, again, I'm ethically unable to like hold them, even though I know they'll appreciate. So if I do want to hold them, I will price them at MSRP, because most people won't pay MSRP. So like that's like what I'd call a slow ember. And then the thing that, and we can talk about this too with distributors, because a lot of people don't know how this really works. In order to get like points and the distributors, where like if you want as many booster boxes that I'm getting, you have to buy copious amounts of crap nobody wants. In my garage right now, we have a literal pallet of Mimikyu EX boxes and a pallet of Cyclizar EX boxes. And then we also have half a pallet of Verizion EX boxes, which on eBay those sell for less than the warehouse sells them for. So that stuff will just never sell for like forever. I'll look like Alpha Investments Rudy. It just sits there. So it's a lot of different answers to your question. It depends on the product and the language, but you always want to be stocked, because you don't want to be like having an empty store. So at this point, we're trying to keep like $250,000 in stock at any given time, but we have like so many products that like it sounds like a lot of money, but I think we have, I don't know, like 150 different products, so it's like it's not that much if you divide it all out.
I mean, I think it's a lot to most people, but I think you've reached a level where it just seems like not a lot. I mean,
yeah,
that's a lot of stock.
It's a lot, and we're in a split entry in a very like modest house. It's a little 3-bedroom house, so we're moving soon. But it's definitely not like a crazy bougie life. It's just I just look like a hoarder, you know.
Hey, I get it. I
Yeah.
mean, these are some of the reasons I wanted to have you on, is because so many people need to hear this stuff. I think a lot of it kind of just like gets trickled down through the grapevine by he said, she said stuff, but just hearing it firsthand, that everyone thinks like getting a distributor is just like this cheat code to, financial success. And it's just like you said, you constantly have to take junk product to get the good product. And then, it's like you're in this situation where it's, what do I do? Do I just sit on it and let it sit there and grow, hopefully? Do I break it down, try to sell the packs and promos?
Mm-hmm.
And you go through all this just to get the product you actually want. So it's not like, like you just said, you can't just sign up for a distribution and say, hey, I want 10 booster box cases. Thank you. That's all I want.
And I thought that's how it worked too. Like I'm not even hating. Like I thought that's exactly how it worked. I'm like, well, shoot, I'll just sign up for this and get 10 Fusion Strike cases. And what you said is all 100% correct, but I just want to really drill it in how stupid it is. When we started, so Brilliant Stars, and then the next set was it Astral Radiance? I don't know. The set after Brilliant Stars. If you go to Southern Hobby's website, there is not a single, and there has never been a single Pokemon product in stock ever. They don't have stock. Southern Hobby has no inventory. People don't know this. You get your allocations by pre-ordering it. So 3 months prior to the release, you pre-order it, and then you get whatever they allocate you. But so when you're new, they'll be like, this was my first order with Southern Hobby. It was, hey, we'll give you.
Uh-oh. Brian, I think we lost you.
Oh, are we back?
All right, you're back.
Okay. I don't know where I left off, but
you were just about to get into Southern Hobby not having stock.
Okay, yeah. So there's literally no stock on Southern Hobby at all. They've never had Pokemon products since I started. You have to pre-order them 3 months in advance, and then you get what you get. But when you're newish, even me still, they'll be like, okay, you want 10 boxes of Brilliant Stars? Great. You need to buy, I think my first order was $8,000 of like Infernape EX boxes. And if I bought that, then I could get like a case of Fusion Strike. It was something that bad. And I was like, okay. So in my head, I was like, that sucks, because on eBay, these are selling for the same price as the warehouse. So I didn't have a lot of money then, not that much money. So I basically just took the bundles on credit, and then I sold all of the stuff I didn't want for like under what I paid, and I lost like $5 on everything. And so then I took like a $200 or $300 L, but I had access to these booster boxes now. I sold those for a profit, and in the end, I lost like $100. And I just did that every single time that they that they offered me stuff, and I just never made money until like I don't even know. I didn't make money for a while.
Just to build your name. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's a lot like, like the corporate world almost. Like, well, you take this entry level position, you grind and do this BS work for long enough, and you get a promotion and you make the good money doing what you actually wanted to do type thing. And that's exactly what it sounds like. But man, people like, I just think so many people need to hear this because, it's always, a lot of people think it's all about distribution when it comes to sealed product. And it's like, well, hey, if you're just looking to like, a lot of people on my channel are looking to invest, whether it be a few boxes, a few cases, you're better off just buying those few cases, paying that extra, you can find stores that have deals. I mean, or, even like when Battle Styles, Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike would drop so low, that was less than what distributors were selling it for. So like you actually did better.
I was one of those people.
Yeah. And so it's one of these things. It's like, hey, listen, just wait till the good prices come, pay a little over what they're paying, and you get the product that you actually want. And then you don't have to go through all this things the stores go through, like you're talking about, getting this product and trying to figure out what to do with it just to get the stuff you make the good margins on, and trying to play this point game with the distribution, because that's your world. That's being a business. But 99% of people, they're trying to live their lives, and they also want to collect and invest in Pokemon. And, they hear about like distributors giving good prices. So they think that's the way. If I could only get that. And it's just, I kind of just want to help clear that myth today. It's like, hey, let the business people do what they do, the collectors and the investors, you guys do what you do, and it's all just kind of a symbiotic relationship. You don't always need to have the best in every scenario type thing.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I'm sure for like 90%, 99% of your audience, like getting a distributor, it will worsen your collection because you need to have so much money for the Virizion EX boxes and stuff. You're certainly better off buying it off eBay or whatever, because I get booster rocks for $95, and like you said, it's like from people fire selling stuff, you're gonna get them for 110, maybe. It's so insignificant. Like there's no hack here. Like a distributor is not a hack unless you want to start a business and make millions of dollars in sales and then also lose 10 years of your life from stress and exhaust. Like if you don't want to do that and you just want to invest, just buy it from like anybody else, because you'll have more. Like the amount of cash I have to have on reserve to buy crap that no one wants, it's laughable. So it's a horrible strategy to get a distributor if you're only trying to invest. It makes zero sense.
So let's ask the tough question. This might hurt a bit.
Oh boy.
Have you ever taken like a big loss with any of these products?
Oh goodness. Okay, yeah, so that's a very relevant question right now. So
okay.
when was it? So our big break was Shiny Star V, because like I said to you, I can get in some really interesting strategies here with business, but I don't know if that's relevant. But Shiny Star V was our big break. I'll answer your question first, and you can. So we started with those 3 Sky Legends boxes, and we made $100 or some minimal profit. And then Shiny Star V was super duper popular, and I didn't have any money except for $100. So we bought we bought like 2 boxes because I think they were like $50 a piece. They were super cheap for me, and we sold them in like 5 milliseconds through TikTok ads or TikTok marketing. And I go to my wife, I'm like, hey, we sold these really fast. I'm like, we should get more and then sell those. And she's like, okay, we don't have any money. I'm like, well, we have credit cards. So we maxed out 2 credit cards and spent like $11,000 on Shiny Star V. And we sold them all before they arrived in America. We like pre-sold them. And that's kind of what got us big. And so Shiny Star V was always like in my special place. And so several months later, it was still popular, just like V-Star Universe is now. And I was like, well, screw Shiny Star V to the moon. And we had $36,000 cash. And I thought I was getting a good deal because the price was going down. Turns out it was Japan fire selling them because the thing was going to crash. And so I spent all 36 grand on like a pyramid of Shiny Star V. And like a week later, the price like tanked like 30%. And I spent all of our money, like all of it was in Shiny Star V. And I think the market price was like $100. And then the market price dropped to 70, just like V-Star Universe, like right now. And so our 36 grand turned into like whatever 2/3 of that is. And I like it almost ended right there. I was like, damn it. And it worked out, long story short. But so that sucked. And then Clay Burst and Snow Hazard, it's kind of happening again where you know, those were selling for stupid amounts of money. And I made plenty of videos warning people that this is a stupid thing to buy. Like, don't call me I made plenty of videos, but I'm like, hey, if you're impatient, you want to buy them now, I'll charge you for it, but you're gonna overpay. Anyway, so I got like 25 G's of it over here, and I bought Clay Burst for $127 when it was selling for like 145. And now the market price is $127. So every box I sell, between fees and whatnot, like I lose like $4 or $5 every box I sell. And so that's unfortunate, but it's kind of part of the game.
Yeah, and luckily you're in a position now where you can kind of eat the bad ones and you capitalize on the good ones. And you know, when things are good, you make such a, I mean, I'm sure you make such a healthy margin that it makes up for the small amount of losses. I think you're frozen again, man.
Okay, sorry, I lost you for a sec.
You're good.
You were saying, you know, you make enough in margins to cover it. But yeah, I mean, the margins kind of suck. They're pretty abysmal. It's just like it's a volume game. So, but yeah, I mean, to your point, like obviously, like we're not losing money. It's just Clay Burst, we're getting screwed. But
hey, your camera froze, man.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Shoot. Okay.
You want to, I guess, try to reset it?
I was gonna say I can go to like. Is it any different?
You froze to a new position, so that's nice.
Oh boy. Let me try to stop the camera quick and reset.
Yeah, take your time.
Start.
What's going on in the chat, guys? He disconnected. All right, well, he'll be back. What is going on down here? Who we got? Justin, nice to see you, man. Chevels, Silent Gamer, B Purple, Poker. Let's see. We got Father Son Collecting. What's up? Dr. Applesauce too? Is that real? What's up, man? Thanks for stopping in. Who else there we got? Peter Barrett. Guys, thanks everyone for stopping by. All right, I'm gonna add him back in.
Oh, okay. Are we good?
We good?
Maybe.
Sort of.
Sort of. Yeah. I see you. I hear you.
Yeah, I know your camera's trying to catch up, I guess.
I wonder if I'd be better off on the phone app, like on like the.
Man, it's up to you. I mean, you can use that link however you want to log into it.
What a buzzkill! I feel like we're having a good convo there.
No, we're good. We're gonna get this going again. Don't worry about it. Tech problems.
Let's see. At least you can hear me, I suppose. I see myself on the YouTube side, and I'm definitely frozen.
Yeah, I mean, your voice is good. You know, if you just want to like, you know, pose in a good position, we can just talk it out with that.
That's a hell of a strategy. God, I feel bad. This is like failing though. Let me see.
I mean, you're kind of coming back. Like it's starting to catch up again.
I pay for gigabit internet. This is some nonsense. All right. I'm starting it on my phone. I don't know if it says mic's working. Let me see. I'm going to enter the studio on my phone and see what happens.
All right. Yeah, I see that. All right. All right. So I'm going to remove that one. Add you on this.
Is that better?
Yeah. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, this is great. This is just fine. I'll hold on. We got some serious echoing going on. Stand by.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay.
Guys, if anyone in the chat, if you guys got any topics or questions you want us to cover, feel free to I'm trying to pay attention to the chat while I'm talking with Brian. So just leave it in there and we'll bring it up. Other than that, I forget what we were on.
I think I was making fun of my abysmal margins.
Yeah.
All
yeah,
right.
I mean, So I mean, obviously Japanese lately is out of control. So I mean, those margins are obviously your best margins. But I mean, before I guess the past 6 months, what were the margins like then on like Japanese and English are, and then I guess by which products? I mean, are booster boxes usually the best margins, or is it some weird alternative items? What's that look like?
Yeah, so it's a pretty counterintuitive world, actually. So right now, the Japanese margins are actually like complete ass. They were better back in the day because everything's so overpriced. Like everything's so manipulated, basically, where I'm paying a ton of money for this stuff too. And then if I charge any more, I'm a scalper. So it's like I kind of have to keep my margins as tight as possible. Otherwise, it's no bueno. So the margins suck on Japanese right now. They were better back in the day. But I think booster boxes probably have the best margins.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean that's what I figured. I just didn't know if some of those collection boxes or tins you get at a crazy discount or something. I don't really know. I never really asked too many people on like a distributor pricing on a lot of those other like kind of auxiliary products.
Yeah, technically the margins are fantastic on those if you're looking at like the warehouse price compared to MSRP. But since nobody actually charges MSRP, the margins kind of suck. Like for some reference, because I have no secrets, I don't care. Like a tin costs me like $16 and the MSRP is $24.99. So it's like a 40-ish% margin, whatever it is. But like you can't actually charge $24.99 because like no one will buy it. So you charge like $19.99 and you get like a 20% margin. So like technically, yeah. I mean, if you look at booster boxes, MSRP now is $165 or something. I get it for $95. It's like it's pretty damn close to doubling your money almost. Yeah. But you can't charge MSRP for a booster box because I don't want to pay it. So technically English stuff, but just not in this market.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, what about all those Costco drops and stuff? I mean, they must just have some ridiculous deal worked out with Pokemon, or?
No, I think they're just liquidating. I mean, they're probably making. I bet they're losing money on every single case, probably, because I do the same thing. Like, I'm in Omaha, Nebraska, and we're moving to a new house, and also I need capital for the next drop. So whenever there's a new drop coming, like Paldea Evolved, I just try to give stuff away that's like sucky. Sometimes literally, sometimes I just donate it as a tax write-off. But yeah, a lot of stuff you don't make money on at all. So Costco's probably taking a small L on everything because their real estate costs money. Like at a place like Costco, you've got competing brands paying Costco to get rid of those Pokemon cards so that they can have a spot there.
I gotcha.
Which is pretty interesting. Like if Yu-Gi-Oh, for just pretend, if Yu-Gi-Oh was like, hey, Costco, you've got a pallet of Pokemon cards in your aisle A. We want that space. We'll give you $5,000 for you to sell all your crap and get rid of it, and then we'll put our spot there. Like that's how it works. So kind of the same idea. They're losing money probably.
Did you see that question from Mr. Walrus in the chat?
Let me see here. Let's see.
I can pull it up. It's about taxes. Do you wanna take that or not?
I take any question. Yeah, you might need to read it though because I don't.
Yeah, I put it on screen. You said you released a TikTok last year about taxes. You said you spend all your profits before year's end to avoid paying taxes. You deleted it. Did you realize the error?
Did you realize your error? Yeah, that's funny. Actually, everyone else was wrong. So it depends on how you declare your tax. I took it off because I was getting a lot of stupid responses. It depends on what method you do your taxes in. For the record, I don't know anything about taxes really. I have an accountant I pay, and he's a very like official tax accountant. He does taxes for all of the realtors here. We have Warren Buffett is like Omaha's savior and lord. And so Berkshire Hathaway, a lot of Berkshire Hathaway businesses are here. And he does taxes for all of the bougie realtors at Berkshire Hathaway. So the guy knows what he's doing. And how we do it is since it's not technically inventory. And I think I use that word. So like in everyone's defense, I use the wrong word. Normal humans would call this inventory, but legally they call it something else because of how quickly we take and go. It's more of like an expense than like legal inventory. So I might not have used the right words, but I was getting a lot of comments like challenging me on it. And I'm like, guys, you're challenging an ex-realtor that sells Pokemon cards on a tax question. Trust me, I've got a guy that knows what he's doing. So it just depends on your business and how you do taxes. But if you do some Googling, you can find, I don't even know what it's called, but trust me, the IRS is knocking on my door.
Yeah, and obviously everyone, this is not tax advice, not financial advice on this channel. But no, he's right. I mean, depending on how you have things structured, this is what I try to cover on my videos without getting into detail, because I always get pushed on this as well when I show like, profit margins and what you can make. Yeah, if you're just strictly buying and selling on eBay, you work a regular job, you don't really run it as a business, yeah, you pay taxes on your earnings at the end of the year. If you run it as an actual business, you have an LLC set up, you actually use the write-offs, you actually, structure it in a way, you can have, what's the correct word? Forego taxes until the future, until you actually realize certain, your earnings and they're not in inventory or product, whatever you call it. But yeah, I mean, there's ways around that to where everyone thinks like, oh, every dollar you sell, you're paying, this percentage of taxes to the U.S. government. It's like, yes and no. Like, you defer it, right? It's deferred until eventually you take a profit. It's kind of like what, the multimillionaire billionaires do with all their real estate, right? They never actually realize the gains. When they sell it, they exchange it into a new real estate. And they continuously use this model to build up, 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 and up. And it's the same type of thing with Pokemon. It just works a little differently, but that's why I don't talk about the taxes and all that as much, because it doesn't apply to everyone the same way.
That's a really good compare. It's like 1031 exchanging.
Yeah.
Cards. And to clarify for anybody, it's like you said, eventually everything I do pay taxes on. It's just, I just keep on, like you said, deferring it. So like if I, whatever I sell, if I sell $3 million of stuff this year and at December 31st, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna spend $1 million of it. Well, eventually I'm gonna have to pay taxes on that. It's just gonna be next year. So my evil plan is to just keep kicking the can along until I die, and then I never have to pay taxes. That's kind of the plan, like, because dead people can't pay taxes. So I'm just gonna keep on doing that until I die.
Yeah, it's kind of like Peter Barrett. So when people get in trouble is when they try to liquidate. That can be an issue.
That's why I'm in no rush to sell like the pallets and Mimikyu boxes, because I'm like, I've got enough capital and I might as well just wait. I mean, what am I rushing for?
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people don't get into all this. I mean, when I was younger, I used to study, a lot of, just business tactics and listen to a lot of the people on YouTube and just a lot of like, business people. And yeah, I mean, that's why everyone kind of has things run through their business, right? That's why so they can, go eat their meals on their business. They can put their cars in their business. And they do everything in their business. So that way they're never actually taking earned income and buying things with it. It's all just ran through as business expenses, and they run their business that way. And that's kind of, is this purpose here of, they get into trouble and you try to liquidate. A lot of the richest people don't liquidate, that's why you see these people, like Bezos or Zuckerberg or Elon Musk, worth all these billions of dollars. They don't have billions of dollars in their checking account. It's all in their net worth and their stock, how many stocks, how many shares they have in real estate and other types of investments. They don't actually ever take the money out, because then they would have to pay taxes. Like, I think Elon Musk was talking about paying all kinds of taxes because he took a bunch of money out to buy Twitter or whatever. And that's why they don't do it. And the same thing's true with Pokemon, guys. So I would say if anyone's trying to do this, like, serious, trying to eventually get a business, trying to replace their full-time income, you definitely want to talk to a tax advisor. You definitely want to get a business set up. You definitely want to understand how taxes work, because that's going to eat away tons of your money if you're just selling on eBay and then paying whatever you owe at the end of the year. It's just... it's going to hurt, right?
Yeah. And basically if you're doing anything that's like somewhat big money, like 4 digits, we'll just say, if you're not doing anything to strategize your tax plan, you're doing it wrong and you're losing your ass. Like, if all you're doing is selling stuff and then getting on TurboTax in April, like, you're doing something wrong. An accountant is not a lot of money. Like, people get it twisted. They're like, hiring an accountant for rich people. It's like, no, accountants are cheap as hell, especially if your business is simple. Like, my business is 7 figures, and there's all sorts of goofy, and like I think I pay my tax guy like $2,000 a year plus an extra 100 or so every month or so. But it's like, it's not a bougie. My brother started a lawn care business, and so very simple. He mows lawns and gets money for it.
That's
And
what I did, so I know all about that.
so you know all about it. And his tax guy charges like $450, and through some legal gymnastics, he was able to get my brother a bunch of write-offs for this, that, and whatever that me and him would have never known. So it's like, your tax guy at worst will make you money, or at worst you'll break even and not have to worry about getting sued. At best, he'll actually save you more money than he costs you.
Yeah, and the only downside I would say to that, if anyone's like, has a business in there, if you're ever trying to buy like property, like a house, you'll need to have earned income shown. So you will have to like claim a certain amount, or have a spouse that has a job that you can use her income, because that was kind of the issue I went through, because in my early 20s, my accountant was making sure that I was taken care of when it came to tax time with my business. But then when I wanted to qualify for a house, I had to, show 2 years of earned income that could qualify for the house I wanted to purchase. So I did have to up the amount of earned income, and then pay the taxes and bite the bullet and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's enough tax talk. I don't want this to be like but everyone can just talk to a financial advisor about it, tax accountant.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted that to be said, because I get that. I swear, anytime I release any video that shows any type of profit margins or sales, I mean, at least 5 comments in the comment section are about taxes, and
I don't doubt it.
it's crazy, right? Everyone's so worried about taxes all the time.
It's a really strange obsession the internet has for 99% of them not doing anything with it. It's very odd. People get worked up about it in an irrational way, but yeah, it's important. It's just 99% of them just, they're W-4 whatever employees, and it's like, you don't got to worry.
Yeah. Oh man. So I mean, take us through, like, what's a day-to-day, look like for you? You just kind of wake up, go to the basement, check your orders, ship them. I mean, what's the day-to-day look like for you?
Yeah. So it really depends on if there's a new set out or not. So like right now is pretty chill, because we've got Paldea Evolved in June, Pokemon 151 in June, Scarlet and Violet base, the hype's done. Clay and Snow, the hype's done. So like right now for like a month, I get to live that fake entrepreneur life that you see in those sketchy, scummy videos where like you sit on the beach and do nothing. I get to be a little more chill. Like, I'll wake up at 11 a.m. I usually lay there for an hour and a half and like answer emails and Instagram DMs, and then I get up, feed my dogs, eat. Sometimes I just like watch TV and chill. Other times I'm super ambitious. I'll go down and do orders from the night prior. And on any given day, we'll sell between 8,000 and 12,000 of product per day. And it's cool because the whole like businessy thing of you'll make money while you sleep. It is actually true to an extent. So I'll make a ton of sales while I sleep, but then you got to package them. So it's not actually passive income. It just feels that way if you squint right.
And so are you and your wife still doing all that yourself?
Yeah, she's a full-time teacher, so during the summer and winter I get her, but for the most part it's just me. And it's like, even a year and a half ago, like doing 2,000 in sales was like, that was a lot, and it felt like so stressful. But you develop speedy ways to pack stuff, so now I can knock out $8,000 of orders in 2, 3, 4 hours depending on how big the stuff is. And then after that, play with the dogs. We got 2 dogs, Evie and Rose. We'll play with them for a bit, eat lunch. Sometimes I go to the gym. Sometimes I just get on YouTube. It's a lot of organizing too, like just kind of keeping things straightened. Andrea, my wife, comes home at like 4:30. We'll usually go on a walk, eat, go to the gym. And then at like, most of my work takes place in the middle of the night. So I come down here at like 10 p.m. That's when I talk to the Japanese folks, the Korean folks. I do an email and DM check again. I check DMs and email a lot. And then I'll start either like doing product research, like, ooh, what's the market look like on clay bursts this week? How much money is Brian losing? Do some
That's what
market.
I wanted to ask too, like kind of get into that too, is like how, I guess, how up on the knowledge are you? Like how much do you keep up with like the market, or like, the sets, like what's in the set, what the popularity is? Do you kind of like have YouTube channels to listen to? Do you have like Discords or Instagrams you're a part of? Like, how do you kind of keep your finger on the pulse of like the Japanese market, and kind of what your, I guess, plans are to do with the product? Or is it everything just kind of, well, once the product gets in, I'll make my mind up then? Like, what's that whole scenario look like?
Pretty obsessive and unhealthy. So
Okay.
I would say like this is gonna sound like an exaggeration, but I'm pretty confident in this number. Every 2 hours, I probably type in clay burst Pokemon Japanese booster box into Google, and I see what like the Japanese stores are selling it for, and then I kind of like go, okay, should I lower it? Should I do this? Do I dollar cost average and buy more since I can get them for $112 now instead of 127? And so I do that like every 2 hours with whatever sets out. I don't necessarily look at the single cards, which I think a lot of people would go, that's stupid not to, but it's kind of an extra step. I'm like, okay, if what's the big one right now? What's the card everyone wants? Oh my god, I can't think.
Japanese or?
Yeah, the big sleeve girl.
Oh,
Iono.
Why?
Iono, right? Is it not working?
I'll find it. I'm drawing a brain block. Someone throw it in the chat.
It's Iono. I got it. I think it just froze.
What's up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's the Iono girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking. Never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I could look up. I could obsessively see what her value is, but what's the point if I can just look at the box's value? But I look that up hourly. I mean, it's obsessively unhealthy. And then I'll text Japan and DM Japan. I have one guy I DM, one guy I text, two guys I email, and then in Korea they're both email. And I'm in communication with them constantly. Like probably every 8 hours we send a message back and forth. Because like the price changes every few hours. It's like the stock market. And so he's like,
I thought you were talking about Miriam.
Miriam, yeah, too. But I was talking about Iono specifically with the clay burst set.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because that's one that I'm like obsessively like Googling, like how much money am I losing? Is it gonna go up? And that's something I do every day. And at night, I usually talk to like all my suppliers, kind of get an idea of what I can buy and how much I need to buy. Because sometimes they'll be like, hey, you can have clay burst for $112, but you need to buy 200 boxes. And I'm like, okay. And so that's like between 10 p.m. and like midnight-ish. And then from like midnight-ish to 2:30-ish, I pack more orders because we'll get some during the day, and I like to be ahead of the game. At that point, if me and Andrea didn't go to the gym, I go to the gym around 3 a.m. because there's nobody there, and it's freaking great. It's just empty. And then I'll get home at like 4. Sometimes I'll take my dogs on a night walk to tire them out, because then from like 5 to 6 to 7, I usually work on various projects. Go to bed.
You didn't add sleep into any of this.
Well, I go to bed after that, so I'll go to bed like depending on the day, 6-ish or later, and then I sleep until like 11. So I have a really like chaotic schedule, I guess.
Gotcha.
Kind of weird, but it works.
So do you? I mean, I know we talked about kind of the crap products, but so do you kind of keep like kind of everything? I mean, do you get like the booster boxes, the sleeve blisters, the collector's boxes, the tins, the build and battle kits, the build and battle stadiums? Like, do you get the whole product line, or do you just kind of pick and choose?
Oh, I get everything. Actually, I'll give you some real behind the scenes here about life at Poke. I'll tell you exactly what I'm getting. But yeah, you get everything, for better or worse. And it's like, in reality, like local game stores, like the decks and the build and battles, like those are pretty sought after. But for me, they're not extremely popular, but I have to take them because if I don't take them, I can't get the good stuff, which would be the booster boxes and the ETBs. But yeah, I mean, you get you get a little bit of everything. So like for Paldea Evolved, I'm getting 20 trainer toolkits because I didn't want any, 50 cases of the Paldea Legend tins, so that's like $6,000 worth. 24 battle stadiums for $1,000. 10 cases of build and battle boxes for $1,200. 276 ETBs, 13 case sleeves, and then 466 boosters, and then some like check lane blisters and crap that nobody will want, so I'll just give those away. That's kind of like the typical build.
You'll give those away?
Yeah, I usually just throw them in random orders, or I give them like the neighbor kids, and it's just like a write-off.
Do you make like you should start making the DK oldies, style TikToks? And because you got picked to get filmed, I'm throwing in this pack.
Yeah, I mean, I did that for a minute. I did some TikTok lives, and it was fun. I don't have the time for that anymore. I really wish I did because it's so fun. But yeah, that's basically what we do. We'll just give them away, because if you can make like $5 on a check lane blister, which is an overstatement, definitely, you're almost better off just taking like the tax write-off anyway.
Yeah.
Close, I mean.
So, I mean, so where you're at now, I mean, are you guys still growing year over year? Are you still looking to keep growing as much as you can? Or you kind of found a spot where you're comfortable with like the amount of work that you have like on your own, and you don't really want to get too much bigger? Where are you at with that?
Oh, that's such a good question. So year one, we did like 1.1 mil. And that was the goal. I was like, I want $1 million, and then I'm going to get a Charizard tattoo. And I made that joke on Twitch, and it happened, and I got my Charizard tattoo, and I'm like, yes. And then now we're past year two, and I think year two we did, it was more than like we did like 2.1 mil. And then this year, I think it's probably going to end up being 4 with the holidays. 5 would be great, but we're at a point now where it's like I'm super efficient with my time now. I can package stuff faster than ever, but it's like, damn, you can only do so much as one person plus a teacher 3 months out of the year. It's like, so either I have to give up my friend's family and everything and build it to a $10 million business, or I just have to be happy with how it is now. Or I scale it by hiring people, which I like really don't want to do. I'd rather have it just be stagnant, because like I make enough money to live, and I don't have to deal with people, and people are exhausting.
Yeah, the reason I asked that is that's exactly where I was with my business with lawn care and landscaping. Is I built a business from the time I was in high school, and then when I graduated college, I decided to do it full time, bought out a company, and hired a friend of mine. And then we had eventually grow, and I had like 4 employees, and multiple trucks, multiple crews going out.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I started talking to cause I started building relationships with people in the industry. And I started talking to a lot of people and asking them about how the growth works. And they're just like, well, listen, going from where you're at to try to get to that, $1 million a year, and you make an X amount of profit, like you're going to go through all these growing pains. You're probably going to make as much or less than you do now through all that growth. And it's going to take you about this much time. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to do that. And I was already working 60, 70 hours a week, during the season. And I ended up just selling that and then reopening. And basically it was just me. And, I had enough business where I was making good money, and I didn't have any stress, no employees. And so that's why I asked you that, because I know exactly how it is. Once you start growing, it's like the money like really draws you in, like, oh, I can make X amount. You start putting on the calculator. But then when you actually start doing it, you're just like, maybe I should go back to when life was easier. And I made enough to be happy back then. I don't need all this extra money. Right.
Yeah. As someone from, again, the Berkshire Hathaway world, I know a lot of very rich people, like private jets, Dubai trips. I mean, these people, 8-figure to 9-figure people. I know a lot of them personally, and a lot of them are cool, but most of them are extremely stressed out and depressed. And I'm like, I don't need a lot of money. And so like, if I have to start hiring people and worrying about their lives, I mean, what if you have a bad month? Like, are you going to be able to pay these people? Like, these people have families and this and that and whatever, and they bring drama. People are a pain in the ass sometimes, and They might think I'm a pain in the ass sometimes. There's so much to it that, like you said, I'm like, I'd rather just keep my operation lean and small. The only person that relies on me is my wife, and she'd be better off with me dead with our life insurance policy. So I have no stress at all. And being rich isn't going to make me happy. So what's the point?
Yeah, I gotcha. So, I mean, that's a good spot to be in, though. I mean, especially, I mean, I don't see the hobby slowing down anytime soon. I mean, you tell me about that, because I mean, I've heard from other, I guess, store owners, there's conflicting,
Mm-hmm.
if you have an LGS, depending on what your business model is, there's conflicting on how the market is. How's the market looking for you lately? I mean, do you see any type of slowing down? Is it strong as ever? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Obviously, I'm not very good at judging this because when the COVID lockdowns ended or were ending, and then Pokemon cards became like super easy to find, I thought I was done because I didn't have an English distro that was like giving me enough stuff. Like Southern Hobby wasn't really giving me enough. And I figured since Japanese got super mainstream when English cards were unavailable, I figured as soon as English cards become available, Japanese cards will die. So obviously I'm not a very good judge on this because I was completely wrong. So I thought the business would end then. And then, yeah, so at this point, I'm realizing I'm like, it's a lot stronger than I think. I think it would be naive for me to say like, oh, because everyone's like, well, Brian, how long is this really going to last? Like, go back to real estate. And I'm like, well, it's lasted 2.5 years for me. And they're like, that's nothing. And I think people like me and my family and friends or whatever, I think what they forget is Pokemon has not been around for 2.5 years like Brian has. It's been around for like nearly 30. So basically it just needs to like stay where it's at until I'm like 55 and retired. And I think that's extremely reasonable. I mean, one of the best things Pokemon did is, I mean, they've got it down to a science, obviously. They're a $76 billion company. They know what they're doing. I think a major good move was is it Liko, the new protagonist in the anime?
Oh, I couldn't tell you that.
I think her name's Liko. It was like Rico, and then there must have been a translation there. I don't know. It's a female lead because like Ash Ketchum won the world tournament. He's done now. They retired him. And what a brilliant move. Taking an anime that was always a boy, 10-year-old boy Ash. He had like, the girl Misty, whatever, Dawn, etc. But taking the main lead and making it a girl, brilliant. You just doubled the amount of eyes on Pokemon. Like, do you know how many little girls are gonna be like, oh my god, she, girl lead, like, brilliant. And then now there's like there's like guys in there too, and I'm saying girls and guys like because it's a kids show. Kids watch it more than adults, I should say. I watch it, but kids enjoy it more than adults, and so you're starting these 7, 8, 9-year-old girls on this show where they can relate to the main character, so that when they're 19, 20, 21, they have money. My God, they're not leaving the hobby. No. They just doubled their demographic overnight. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, here, Dr. Applesauce. True definition of wealth is to make enough money, working for yourself to pay your bills, live comfortably, and be able to take a day off or a half day to spend with your family when you want. It pretty much says it. I mean, like it's fun to hear about like these, like like a P football Pete guy, like on eBay. I'm sure you've seen him before. Yeah. Like it's fun to see these giant companies moving giant amounts of product, but you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know how much they're working, how stressed out they are, what their work-life balance. You just don't know any of that stuff. And so it's just like, I'm in sales, so I see it tons in sales. These guys who just get addicted to the money. They want to work 7 days a week and give me as many appointments as you have. And you really see it, like it destroys lives. Yep. The money, like it takes all your time away from your kid. If you have kids, if you have a wife or a husband, no hobbies, no extra time, and you get addicted to money. And I just think that really needs to be talked about, because even if you're not in Pokemon for a business, you can just get addicted to the hobby in general, just constantly glued to your screen on eBay and PWCC and Heritage and trying to find all these auctions and all these cards. And, you kind of leave the rest of your life vacant just to try to, be this master collector, be a Pokemon master. And No, I mean, I think that comment's super relevant. And I mean, I think how you have it set up is basically, in my mind, probably the best way. I mean, $3 million is nothing to sneeze at. And from what you sounded like, your life's really balanced, which is amazing.
A lot of people would disagree with the balance part, but I try to act like it is. The past like 3 days, I've been having like severe anxiety attacks at how much Southern Hobby gave me for my allocations, because I don't have a lot. I'm cash poor right now. But yeah, it's any bigger than this would be worse. So here or smaller is better. But and I think to answer your question, I think the help with that female protagonist is going to be huge for the long-term growth of Pokemon as a brand. And if Pokemon as a brand continues its trajectory, the card game will too. Andrew, the 6th grade teacher, every one of her students loves Pokemon. Those students, a lot of them will love it until they are 30, like we are. And by the time they're 30, I will be 50, and I will be done, and I won't need to worry. I think I think they know exactly what they're doing.
Man, I'm so happy to have you on the channel tonight. It's so refreshing to hear some more positive voices in the community, because right now, man, so many people are on the bandwagon of, this is the start of the end of Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And, things are wearing off. The market's slowing down, you sell your stuff now while you still can. And I just don't see it that way. And it's nice to hear someone else that doesn't either. I mean, I know you don't invest long-term, so people, can draw their own conclusions saying, well, of course he thinks that. He's just flipping. He's not holding. But I mean, even you said it before, though, like if you didn't have any type of like, I feel like you have obligation to sell the product. You said that, I mean, you're almost positive the boxes are going to go up in value if you were to hold them.
They absolutely will. I think what's wrong with human society, at least in America, is people think that they sound smarter if they're being negative. And if you think about it, it almost makes sense, because if you say something negative that's against the norm, even if ironically the norm is negative, and then you're right, you look like you told the future. You look like a genius. If you're positive about the future and you're right, no one cares. And if you're positive about the future and you're wrong, you look like a moron. So it's statistically, you're better off hedging negative, because like you're probably going to look, you think you're going to look smarter in the future. Like, I called it. I told you, you silly rascals, Pokemon's done. It's this fallacy that people go through to make them feel smarter than they are, and they're not.
Yeah. And obviously it's, I've played around with it, just being, on YouTube now. I played around with it in my titles and my thumbnails.
Well, yeah, you gotta.
They always get the best views.
They do.
Every time you put something negative in the thumbnail. Yeah, it's crazy. People just they love to they see negativity, they have to click on it. But if you put something like, I did something right, or I made this much, or you'll get less clicks. It's crazy.
Nobody cares. Yeah, if you make a video, I lost $10,000, it's gonna get way more clicks than I gained it. 100%. People love to see other people and other things fail.
And why is that? It's like, I don't understand why that is. It's almost like you're unhappy someone else is doing well, and just because you're doing something different, it's like, why can't we all do different things? We all do well and make money in our own separate ways. Why does it have to be, oh, my way's right and you have to fail for me to win?
That's a great question. I honestly, I think it goes back to some primal freaking tribe crap. There can only be so many winners in a little group of people, and so you try to tear someone else, or in this case something else, down, because it makes you, I mean, we're not in a society where that applies anymore, but damn, people think we are. It's crazy.
I mean, a perfect example, I mean, Catch 'em All Collectibles. Do you know Dan?
I know, I've seen the channel or the Instagram. I don't know him though.
Well, perfect example of him. I mean, I think most his business, because he's full-time, he has distribution, but most his business is singles. I mean, he grades and sells singles. He's a completely opposite business model of you, but he's a full-time store as well. And you guys are both successful doing absolutely different things.
Yeah.
And I just why is that the matter? Why is it, you don't have to worry about that? Should someone want the other person to fail to prove that this way's better? It doesn't make any sense.
It's so silly. Because you're 100% right. what was this? Gary V, what does he say? He's like, I want to build the biggest business by being the biggest business. I don't want to build the biggest business by tearing other businesses down. And it's so true. And even more so in this industry, it's like, I've made, not to plug my crap, but I've made like a gajillion videos about how to start a Pokemon business. And I hold nothing back. Like, I'm like, here's every freaking secret, like down to the most nitty gritty. Because the more successful Pokemon businesses there are, even if they're my competition, the bigger and better the hobby will be, and the longer it'll last. It'd be silly to be like, I hope all of my competition fails, because if my competition's failing, I'm not special. I'm next. So it needs to be, I mean, and it is. I think it's extremely strong, and I think it's going to continue being strong, at least until me and you are old guys.
I hope so.
At least.
Going back to what you were saying, like about the whole Japanese and English thing, I got that extremely wrong too. I mean, I can go back in my videos because I've only been on YouTube a little over a year now, but I think it was about halfway through my channel, maybe 5-6 months ago, I started having people ask me about Japanese. I mean, and multiple people, to where they'd ask me about it in the comments. They'd Instagram message me, hey, you should do some videos on Japanese. Hey, have you seen this new product? Hey, have you seen this new thing? And I've just never been interested in Japanese. I never learned it. I don't know anything about it. I mean, I bought some Japanese when I was a kid because the Japanese sets were always in the card shop before, like the new set was always there before the English. So like when Rocket came out, we were still on base 2. So I'd buy Japanese Rocket, and I'd buy Japanese Gym Heroes. But other than that, yeah, I've never been in Japanese. So like I kept having people tell me to get in. I just kind of blew it off. Like, yeah, you know, there's other channels for that. And then all of a sudden, boom, Japanese is the thing. It's so much the thing that new people getting in the hobby. I had a comment in one of my videos saying, hey, all these older cards from like X, Y, and Sun and Moon, the English are a lot more expensive than the Japanese. Do you think these are all undervalued? Because they didn't know that like English is always, you know, more than Japanese. And now it's all reversed, and people just, it's really crazy to see it happen. So I guess my question would be is, are you just continuing, you're going the Japanese bandwagon? Like, are you just staying course? Do you think it's going to shift back when like, you know, the craze or supplies get, you know, straightened out? Where do you think Japanese is going from here?
Yeah, well, my opinion on this has drastically changed. And I kind of covered, like, I kind of said why, where it's like, in my head, Japanese got popular because you couldn't buy English. And I think that was correct, because that's when it happened. But now that English is freaking everywhere now, Japanese is hotter than ever. So clearly that connection either never existed or it's no longer relevant, because people love Japanese product and they can get English if they want. It doesn't matter. So there doesn't seem to be a real connection between, like, if this one's up, this one's down. They're both powerful now. And to me, if you're confident in one, you've got to be confident in the other, because there doesn't seem to be any reason why one would fail to make one succeed. They're just, like we said, they're both succeeding, Japanese and English. And Korean cards, they seem to be kind of like picking up. I'm one of the few U.S. stores that does Korean, because I see that as the future. And
I know that Korean, like some of those Korean Yu-Gi-Oh sets sold really well. Like I know Korean LOB was doing pretty well for a while there.
Yeah, Korean stuff's cool, and Korean Pokemon, like, it's not at that level yet, but it's, since Korean and Japanese cards are like the same set, you know, like Americans have Evolving Skies, Korean and Japanese have EV Heroes, like they're the same sets. It's kind of like a cheaper alternative. Like, we'll sell EV Heroes Korean for, you know, 1/5 of the price of the Japanese one. So to me, people are going that route. And so it's like, I'm trying to get all the languages. I'm trying to catch them all. Like we did.
So how does that work? So is it like the East all has the same sets, and like as you get farther west, so like I guess Japan, China, Korea, like those are all going to be the same, but then like what, the UK prints like our sets?
Well, it's quirky because Japan and Korea, like the sets are called the same thing. They're EV Heroes. But like Korean cards, you're not guaranteed an SAR or an SR or whatever. they have yellow borders like the old American cards did. So there are differences. The paper quality is different. Korean's worse than Japan, but there's similarity. Like a Korean booster box is like this vertical pillar, and a Japanese box is like a flat square. And then so those two are like sort of together, but they're very different still. Mainland China that just got Pokemon, those sets are completely just all over the freaking place because they're trying to catch up. So like they've got like 4 sets in one. I don't even know how it works, but like China's just a whole goofy thing.
It's too weird for me, like
Yeah.
looking at Chinese cards and considering them real. Because
Well,
I'm used to all the like the fake evolutions booster boxes back when I was getting in.
Alibaba, AliExpress. There's so much fake crap that comes from China, and I feel bad saying it, but like it's hard to know. So that's the one language I'll probably avoid. But I want my whole shtick, like this time next year, I want like Pokeani to be like the international. Like we've got Spanish. We have a ton of like I'm trying to think. Pretty much like everyone, like South, like every Spanish speaking area, like Spain, anywhere in Central America, lots of Mexicans, tons of Spanish speaking folks. Love my.
Well, I see a ton of product, like English product, like sold from Singapore, like on eBay a lot.
Singapore, yeah, they have a lot, and I don't understand that, but you're right. They have
I used to be a little fearful, like when I like back in the day, a little more, like maybe years ago. I was like a little more fearful. I'm like, I mean, is that like fake, or I don't know if I just trust this person. But like now I see it a lot more often, and like PSA cards, like with actual PSA labels and certain numbers. I'm just like, okay, yeah. I guess Singapore, it's legit. I mean,
it's wild. I don't understand that at all, but it's weird too, because like to that point, it's so hard to find information on these other languages. Like Japanese, you just have to hashtag Japanese Pokemon in Instagram. You'll find a gajillion of them. Korean, pretty popular, easy to find. But like, I can't find a Thai Pokemon supplier or a like Mexican or Italian. I think Italians have cards. I can't find those. Like, there's barely any information, at least on like American internet. Like maybe if I VPN to those countries, it'd be easier. But it's weird. It's weird. But that would be the goal, just to kind of like. I think I saw your video of like don't diversify. So this goes completely against that. But I like the idea of having every language, because I feel like that does kind of help hedge myself if one language sucks.
No, that wasn't like as much based on diversifying yourself in Pokemon. It was just like based off of, because you probably don't pay as much attention, but like in this Pokemon investing space on YouTube, the like go-to thing always is, oh, well, this is all just cardboard. You need to, have all your money in, stocks and real estate. And my whole thing was like, well, every single investment expert ever in the world always tells you, don't invest in things you don't know or don't believe in or don't try. And the other thing is,
Amen.
The most successful people on the planet, they go all in, they dive into what they truly do enjoy. They do understand that they know more about than 99% of people on the planet. And to a lot of people that watch channels like these, that's Pokemon. And so my only point was, hey, if you've been successful and you are continuously successful in this space year over year over year, why are you listening to people and saying, oh, well, throw your money here and here and here, when like you do? Why wouldn't you just continue to reinvest in Pokemon and build your net worth there and build like your sales there? Because that's where all your time and energy and knowledge is. Right.
I think that 100% makes sense.
Right.
If you know about it, why the hell wouldn't you stick with it?
No, I mean, I don't know. I just hear it every time I make a investing video, like, oh, well, this is dangerous. You should tell them to throw their money in the stock market. It's just like, okay, I don't want to get into that every time.
Right. You're like, I'm not getting into those weeds, but I think you give people good advice. I think
what I'm going to start doing, I'm just going to have like a stock market channel, like on my, toolbar. Yeah. Every time someone says that, I'm just going to like post the link to their channel and say, here, this is for you.
Smart. I'll pass this one off. I was surprised to learn you were only doing this for a year. I thought your channel's so good.
Well, I mean, I've been back in Pokemon since like 2015. And me and a friend of mine, like we we started a channel when we were doing like all of our, our flips and investing back then. But it wasn't very good. We just kind of were showing stuff on screen. I didn't really use my face much. It wasn't very good. And so I ended up shutting that channel down. And then, like 14, 15 months ago, I started this one and just took it serious, I guess. I appreciate it.
Extremely impressive. I was like, oh shit, he's only been around for a year. Like, you just started coming up in my algorithm, and I watched your latest 5-6 videos. I'm like, I listened to all I pack stuff. I'm packing orders. I'm just like, all right, get my knowledge in.
Appreciate it. Hey, this guy Peter Barrett asked you a question. So, how do you guys try and differentiate yourselves in the market? What do you think your competitive moat would be if you don't have one? Are you working towards one?
Yeah, differentiating yourself in a market where everyone has access to the same stuff is pretty important, because like you can buy Pokemon cards anywhere now. In the beginning, our shtick was like, oh, we sell Japanese stuff and it's safe and it's real and you can get it in 3 days. Like, that was our differentiation. But now, like, everyone and their mother sells Japanese cards, so like we're not unique there anymore. So now we do Korean, which is like pretty wacky, but like even that's pretty mainstream still. So at this point, it's more like content and attitude. So my shtick, and I think most people that are like either customers, viewers, fans, community members of me, extreme transparency to like a fault. Like, I'm the most self-deprecating, honest. I don't care. Like, here's all my secrets. I'll give you pretty much anything except like my supplier's email address. And I think people respect that. They're like, oh, this guy's got nothing to hide. I'm like, it's definitely all content based. If I only had the online store, we'd be successful probably. So it's a nice website, I guess. But it's the social media, like uber transparency, uber honesty, and then like absolutely overdoing fixing mistakes. So if we mess something up, like say you order 5 GGN packs and we give you 4, like we get an email, and our customer service has gotten so good that if we mess up, they typically apologize. It's the goofiest thing. They'll be like, hey, sorry for bugging you, Brian. I'm not kidding. This happens most of the time, but it looks like you missed a GGN pack. And I'm like, oh, my bad. I refund the pack and then I send them 5. And I'll lose however much money. Like, if my rule is, if I mess up an order, I can't profit on it. And that's obviously not true if it's like a $500 order, but if it's anything like under $100, if I mess up, I'm not allowed to profit from it. So I'll give them enough free stuff to where it's Gucci, or I'll refund their shipping, or I'll give them a coupon code. But like, my goal, and I try my best at that, is to like, if I mess up, that's my bad. And it adds up, because I just made a video about it, but we're the only trading card store online to have well over 200 reviews without a single one of them negative. And on the internet in 2023, that is a very hard thing to achieve.
That's amazing. I mean, that kind of like, that's why I brought up Dr. Applesauce's question. It kind of leads into that. It's, question for Brian. What do you think about customer service? Lots of companies out there don't focus on it much. What's PokeNE's approach to customer service, and does that relate to growth? I mean, that basically says it all right there.
Yeah. There's a book I don't read, but I listen to books. A book I listen to, and it's actually, it sounds so sad, but it's so true. It's customers in every single business expect horrible customer service. So if you give them the bare minimum, you will beat 99% of your competition. And that sounds outrageous, but then you go to like Culver's to eat lunch, and if the chicken fingers and fries are cooked well, you're like 5-star. You're flipping out. It's so damn good. And it's like, that's just how chicken tenders should be. They should be warm and crispy. But since Culver's just did the bare minimum of providing their menu item, you're like, this is the best location. You're going to go to that freaking Culver's every day, right? So to me, if I'm like, even if I just did the bare minimum of, you buy stuff from me, I send it to you quickly, I'm better than 99% of my competition, because people suck at people suck. Like, companies aren't good at it. Funko is one, like, not to start wars or anything, but that company is trash. The stuff they're doing to their customer base, Funko Pops are cool. Like I'm like collectors, amen. Spend your money. Great. I had a couple Funko Pops and I don't buy anything.
Yeah.
But God, the company, they're awful to their people. Nintendo is pretty horrible to their people. I mean,
I'm 99% sure that no one from my work watches my channel, but I mean, even the company I work for, I mean, so I work for a large company. They're nationwide. They're in 60 different countries. And I don't want to like say the name, but it's a large company. And every day I am just like, thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like they have nothing figured out. Like their systems are terrible. The tech they have, I mean, we have our sales guys using like 4 or 5 different apps in a sales meeting when I'm like, this could all be done on one, like just go to the tech companies and say, hey, I need this design for this, pay them what it costs and do this. It would like shrink so many mistakes and things down. And I'm just thinking to myself, if a multi-billion-dollar corporation is operating like this, how poorly is every business out there operated and we don't even realize it?
I mean, that's 100% what I think. And it's some businesses, like you look at like cable companies where they basically have monopolies in their region. Like we're in Omaha, we have like 2. So like they can be like complete ass at their job and like you kind of have to stick with them. But again, in this industry, in the Funko collecting, Pokemon collect, anything like trading cards, you have competition from everywhere, from Toys R Us and Macy's to GameStop to the Dollar Tree. You can buy this crap anywhere. So
to the random guy on eBay.
Yeah, to a random guy on eBay. So if you're not like going way above and beyond, you'll still do well, but you're not going to do like well enough to quit your 9 to 5 and do this full time.
Yeah. Silent Gamer, thanks for the $3 super sticker, man. Appreciate the support.
Nice.
Let's see. I'm trying to find some more questions on here. Did you have anything you wanted to talk about or bring up while I'm looking for a question?
Let's see. A lot of people ask how to find suppliers. We kind of talked about that a little bit. I've had some quirky ways of finding suppliers I could talk about. I've got quirky ways to start a business with 0 money. There's plenty.
I'm sure everyone would like to hear that. That's like the I should have made that the thumbnail, right? Like that make that the thumbnail, like me standing next to a Lamborghini saying you can start with 0.
Yeah, that's kind of the big meme question, and a lot of people think that like if you answer it, it's a scam, but you really don't need any money to start a successful business. You need customers and or a following. I should say a following, because that's free. So I kind of told you with the Shiny Star V thing, we didn't have any money, and we put it all on credit cards. And this is going to sound irresponsible, but like let me clarify. So if you have a following, which you need to have, you need something. If you don't have money, you need popularity. If you don't have popularity, you need money. You need something. I'm not going to pretend any idiot could just go out and start making money. So like you obviously have a great following. You got what, 4.2 thousand. So like you've got followers, you've got a reputation. People like you. You have merch. You could start with 0 money.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I have a following, but I don't know if people like me. Like they usually just come to my chat and my comments to degrade me.
Me and you both, homie, like for real. But you've got fans for sure. And so if you've got, like, we had a TikTok following just from stupid little viral videos we posted. If you have that and you have a little teeny bit of interest, you make a nice website that costs $30 a month. So you need $30 a month. All right, you got me. You make a website, you make it look good and not like someone's buying from Alibaba Express's little sister. So you make a nice looking website, and then you find something to sell, and you sell, and you put it up on the site, and you go, ships in 10 days. A reasonable amount of time, but like long enough to where you can do the next part of this. So what we did is with Shiny Star V, we put ships in 14 days, 2 weeks, which is how long it takes to get stuff from Japan for normal lay people. And I'm like, pre-order. People love that.
Well, it's like how the dropship businesses operate, right?
Yes, that is 130% the same thing. You're drop shipping. So that's what we did. I'm like, Andrew's like, well, what if we don't sell any of these? I'm like, well, we're gonna sell them first. Pre-order Shiny Star V, rare Japanese set, this price. 10 people bought the set, pre-order. I get their money right here. It's in my hand. I go to my Japanese guy. I'm like, hey, I've got this amount of money. I pre-sold 10, so I need 10 of them. But if I could pre-sell 10, if 10 people are willing to wait 2 freaking weeks for the set, there's probably 20 people that would pay if they could get it right away.
All right, so let's recap. So you got your credit cards maxed.
Yep.
You get the payment from the pre-sales. Instead of pay the credit cards, you double down again and order double.
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Number one, there's a few rules. Number one, you want enough capital to where you could save your ass if you get into trouble. But every time you use a credit card, you have 30 days to pay it off when you use it. And that's important because people don't get that. People are like, oh, I bought this stuff in January, whether it be January 1st or January 20th. They think they need to pay it off January 31st. No, you don't. You need to pay everything off 30 days after you buy it. It just comes in a different statement. So if you buy something,
actually, usually it's, I mean, sometimes it's a lot longer. Like, sometimes, you know, if you buy it directly after your statement period, you have 30 days till the bill hits, and then you usually have a certain amount of time after for the due date. You could almost have like 50, 60 days if you buy it, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And so what does that mean? It means you got a loan for a month or 2 months with 0% interest. Tell me a single bank you can get a 0% interest loan. It ain't the mortgage companies, that's for damn sure. I'm paying 7% for this new house. So it's a free loan. So you have to be confident in your ability to get rid of the product. And that's where the community comes in. But you also just have to know how much risk to take. So with Shiny Star V, we pre-sold 10. I'm like, okay, so we already got the money for 10, and we're also making a profit. So if we pre-sold 10 for $1,000, but we're only paying $800, we profited 200. That's a cushion. Also, we still have 30 whole days. So I'm like, okay, if 10 people bought it for 2 weeks, 20 people will buy it right away. So I go to Japan. I'm like, yo, I want 30 boxes. The 30 boxes come while they're in transit from Japan. There's like 5 days while they're in transit. More people are pre-ordering. So those 20 extra boxes I get, they're slowly selling. And I'm like, oh crap, those 20 boxes pre-sold. I go back to Japan with my new money. Yo, I need 20 more boxes. And that's the churn and the burn. And that's what we did. And we did that for 11 grand worth of Shiny Star V. And all you have to do at the end is make sure you pay off the statements. And you always carry debt. Never pay off a credit card. As long as you're paying the statement and you're not paying interest. But we're constantly in debt. And if I open up my bank statements right now, we're probably 90K in debt to 4 different credit card companies. Most of our transactions are like wire transfer directly to checking accounts, but that's a whole different story. But that's all you have to do. And there's I forgot who it was. Oh, a really horrible person that, anyway, he's a business guy though. But he was like, if you want to sell makeup, I watched this guy before. He was horrible, for the record. Horrible things happen.
What's his name?
Andrew Tate. Horrible guy. But he made really good business content. And if your algorithm was tuned right, it was fantastic. And then eventually you realize, oh no, this man says awful things. But his business content was great. And I think that's how he got big, is he had like really good business content. But then you watch like 3 of his videos and he's talking horrible. This isn't a negative channel, but horrible person, for the record. But before I realized that, he had one really good nugget, and he's like, if you want to start a nail polish company, you have a following, you do cute nail polish videos, whatever, your love nail, whatever it is. And he's like, then you make your own line. He's like, put it up on your website, say, hey, I'm making my own hot pink line of nail polish. Who wants one? Ships in 2 weeks. If people buy them, great. Take their money, you give it to your supplier, you deliver. If people don't buy them, okay, you didn't spend any of your capital, there was 0 risk. So, horrible person. Please.
Well, I feel like it's like that a lot of, I mean, it's almost like, you know, like Alex Jones was with the conspiracy theories. It's like, he said so much crazy stuff, but a lot of it ended up being true, but a lot of it was crazy too. You know, it's just like, it's like with Andrew Tate. It's like, yeah, he's got a lot of good stuff that he says that, you know, if you can look past all the craziness.
And that's 100%. And that's true with a lot of horrible people. I tend to shy away from them after they become horrible, but it's very true with a lot of people. A lot of people do great stuff before they, regardless. that's where I learned that technique with nail polish, but it made sense with Shiny Star V. And
well, I love that story, like especially for like that you do telling like, on my channel, because I fight against, that's another thing I fight against constantly is people have this obsession with always calling out the risk and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, anytime I say anything about Pokemon, it's like, oh, it's so risky. You should put this in a 401k and let it grow 8 to 12% a year. And it's like, yeah, great. Here, if anyone out there, if you want to go get a full-time job and you want to work for 40 something years of your life and continue to do that, yes, it's going to work. I mean, it's always worked. It's, you know, it's 99%, almost guaranteed. It's always going to work, right? We know that.
Yeah.
When you're trying to, do things that you're looking for above average returns, you're looking to, jumpstart and go on the fast track, it's always going to take a certain level of risk. And with risk either comes losses or reward. And so you took a risk, you took multiple risks again and again. And now you're in a position where you're running a $3 million a year business, whatever your 10, 20% margins, you're making $600 grand a year. I mean, like you're doing very well because of those risks. But if you would have never taken any risks, you would not be, I will say I will guarantee you wouldn't be anywhere near as close to where you are successful wise in your business. It doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I'd be making like 50K at the real estate company I was at. I worked with a lot of rich people, but I was not one of those bougie realtors. I just worked for them. And that would have been fine. Honestly, I'd probably be a lot more relaxed and probably healthy.
Yeah, and it's like it's all about your risk tolerance. Like if you don't have the high risk tolerance, that's great. Don't do it. But it's like don't like condemn or look down on people who are wanting to take higher risks. Like people see like, oh well, you made 50, 100% on Pokemon product. Like yeah, you're taking more risk. So yeah, you expect higher returns like that. It's not doesn't mean it's in a bubble. It means you're in a risky asset. It's like buying, like a biotech company back in like, the 2000s, 2010s. Like, well, you bought this biotech company when it's $1.50 a share. Their drug gets approved and goes through the trials, and now it's shot up to $25 a share. That happened. Like, that's a stock, right? Everyone's like, well, stocks are safer. Well, that stock wasn't safer, but guess what? If you went in that single stock, you outperformed every single investment that anyone had. So it's just one of those, Bitcoin's the same way. It's one of those things. It's like, look, we all get Pokemon is more risky than the stock market or buying a piece of real estate, but the returns can be exponentially greater and have been as long as I've been in the hobby. So, I just think that risk factor. Go ahead.
100%. And what I really wanted to get across too was like, if you're that obsessed with risk, you're not thinking hard enough, because there's ways to do it where there's like a level of risk. But I think my example was, what's the risk of pre-selling product and then providing it? The risk would be either you can't get the product because your Japanese guy got hit by a bus and can't sell it to you now. And then you just cancel the orders. Like, it's pretty riskless, honestly. Your risk could be like you get sent fake product, I guess, or tampered with. Like, there are risks, but like you're pretty well mitigating it. And even, you could go as far as wholesaling. Like maybe you got maybe a like here's another great business idea. You go to Collecticon, one of the big conventions, and you go to a booth and they have a Charizard that costs like $500. You take a picture of it, you walk around, you find someone that loves Charizard, you go, yo, look at this picture of Charizard. You want to buy it for $600? They're like, oh hell yeah, bro. You go back to the table. I've done this. You go back to the table, you buy the Charizard for $500, you give it to your buddy for $600. You just made $100.
That's gonna be my video when I go to my first Collecticon. I'm gonna do exactly that.
I've done that a gajillion times. Not with Pokemon because I'd get canceled being where I'm at now. But I did that with I did like eBay full time in college, and we went to flea markets, and I did that. It's what do they call that? There's a word for it. I don't know. There's a word for it, but that's what I did.
Yeah.
Arbitrage. I just arbitrage.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
All right. I FOMO. So this is kind of a question I had too, because I'm always weary of buying out of country. So how does import tax work when you send something from Nebraska to Honduras, Central America, for example? So like when you send out to other countries or when you buy from Japan, or do you ever get any type of import taxes or import charges? Does anything like that ever happen?
Yeah, so number one, I'm not smart, so I don't sell internationally because I think you have to be smart to do that, and I'm not that. So I don't
Have you
ship.
ever bought internationally besides like from Japan?
Well, yeah, Japan and Korea. So import tax is, I call import tax an excuse complaint, just like I do with taxes in general and LLCs. That's another excuse complaint where people who want to start business, maybe this is just curiosity from FOMO, which I'm sure is great. But people that want to start businesses are like, oh, I don't know, I don't have an LLC yet. Ooh, import tax. None of this stuff is scary. And usually it doesn't even apply. Like I pay import tax incredibly rarely, almost never. Um, and how they do it is the Japanese folks will basically put a value number on the package. So I don't even know. I should know this, but I don't because it barely ever applies. But I think like under $2,000, you don't need to pay import tax. I could be wrong. It's some dollar amount. So the Japanese folks, like I'll get $10,000 of product from them and they'll just declare it as like $1,500. So there's a risk there because if it gets lost, they only get $1,500 back. So it's not insured. But at this point they just don't care because like my guy's making, I think he sells like $1 million USD a month, so it's like he's good. So if some stuff gets lost, it doesn't matter. So it depends on what they declare, and if you're buying it from like a official company, they're probably going to declare it officially and then you'd have to pay import tax. But it's just not something to worry about. It's not expensive. One of our guys is like super to the book, and he puts the correct valuation on the packages. And basically I just get a like a letter from FedEx. They do it all for you. This isn't like some complex process. Like FedEx sends me a scary letter that goes, hey, you owe us $42 for this box of $3,000 of White Schwartz cards. Do you want to pay online or do you want to send a check? That's import tax. Like I could lie and act like it's this complex thing and I'd probably get your business more because I'm like, oh, look at me, no import tax. It's such a joke. Like people in my position make it scary is what it is because they don't want you to know how to do this. But in reality, it's nonsense. It's just tax. It's just like sales tax. Do you worry about how to pay sales tax? No.
Right.
So
no, I guess I always like, I guess my always worry is I'll see if I'm shopping for something like an item or a card, you know, sometimes you'll see like something from like Australia or UK or something, and you'll see it like a good amount cheaper than what the ones are going for in the US. And you're just like, well, how do I get charged? Are they going to like up like some type of import charges and then it ends up being the same cost? Like,
yeah.
why would I do that and wait an extra 2 weeks for that card? You know, I just always wonder how that works on eBay or something.
Yeah, and I think I'm going from a business perspective, and I should probably like go to consumer. If you're buying an individual item, by the time you pay shipping and the import tax, like you're probably not saving that much, which does help my business. For the record, like disclaimer, that helps me. But yeah, if you're buying in bulk, it's like completely negligible. And again, it depends on where you're buying. If you're buying it from like a dude you met on Instagram, you're not going to pay import tax probably because he knows how to avoid it. And I don't know if that's even illegal for them to do. I have no idea the ethics or I don't have to worry about it because I'm not doing it. But yeah, if you're buying from like buye.com or Zen Market, like the chances are you're not going to save that much money unless you like bulk up on product. Like if you have some kind of warehouse thing like Zen Japan, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
If you buy enough stuff and they send it to you all in one box, that's going to be your best bet. If you're buying one single thing, I can't speak for that, but I'm sure you're not saving that much.
John, we talked on this earlier, but should businesses have long-term holds like guaranteed vintage stonks? Like, you know, Brian, you basically said earlier that you don't really try to keep anything, right?
I'm not rich enough to where I can yet. To me, that's kind of a rich boy's game in business, in my opinion, because when you have a distributor like me, and we talked about this, you can watch the rerun, you need a lot of cash because your distributor will try to put crap on you that you don't want in order to get stuff that you do want. So at any given time, I want like 50K in the, I call it the Southern Hobby account. So if my distro Southern Hobby goes, hey, you can have 20 extra cases of Paldea Evolved, comma, if you buy 30 cases of Cyclizar EX boxes, I need that cash. And it's hard to have all of that cash laying around if you're holding everything. So one day when I have like a crap ton of money in cash, then I will start holding stuff long term. But right now it's like you got to churn it because you have to buy so much stuff you don't want that you need to fire sell it or sell the stuff you do want that has value so you're ready for the next drop. So I'm playing the long game where I'm just constantly churning. I would say by the time I'm 30 now, like by the time I'm like probably 35, 36, then I can be a little more I can be a little more decisive about I'm going to keep this for a while. And
you'll have warehouses that look like Rudy's.
Yeah, I mean that if you angle the camera right in my garage, I look like I'm Rudy level. It's all angles, but I'm not. But if you angle the camera right, it looks like it.
That's all that matters on YouTube.
Yeah, no freaking kidding.
So let's see, Space Frog. If Japanese and English released their sets at the same time, or if English was even came out before Japanese, would we see the craziness in the Japanese market? Any thoughts? So do you think, Japanese gets like so much hype because they always get the sets first? Or do you think it's just something else going on?
That was my original theory. I call it the iPhone theory, where like everyone needs to be first with the stupid iPhone. So they line up in front of the Apple store and they pay like triple the amount to get it first. I don't know if that's still a thing, but for a while that was a thing. And I thought that was what's true with Japanese. I'm like, oh, they want to be the first one to get the Iono card. So Japanese and then English later. But my opinions changed because within 2 or 3 months, both the sets are out. Like Scarlet and Violet base and Japanese base are both out. Japanese stuff's still freaking expensive and still very popular and expensive. And so initially I had that theory, but I don't think it matters now. I think Japan is its own beast at this point because, and the proof is when Paldea Evolved comes out, that consists of Clay Burst, Snow Hazard, and Triplet Beat. Those 3 sets are still going to be expensive as hell, sought after as hell, and the waifu chase cards are still going to be more than the English ones. So I don't think it would make a difference. I truly don't. Japanese has such a fan base in and of itself that I'd have to look at my analytics. I'd actually find this interesting if there's any crossover, if there's a lot of crossover, because I definitely see the same names with my Japanese crap and the same names with my English stuff. And I'm sure there's some crossover, but I think it's 2 very different camps. And I see no reason either one of those would stop being in that camp.
Yeah. No, I feel the same way. I mean, I think that, they all have their respective collector bases now. I mean, I think there's literally people now that just collect Japanese and just like, they seek after the Japanese product now and they want to open that and grade that. I don't think they're just getting on that before the English comes out so then they can get English. I think it's truly that way now.
I agree. I think the Korean stuff is a different league where people are just doing that because it's like kind of the poor man's Japanese set.
Well, that's definitely what was going on with Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, no one could afford to open LOB packs, right?
Right. So it's like the poor man's Yu-Gi-Oh! And
well, I mean, sorry, I shouldn't say that. I guess you could open the reprints that were before the 25th anniversary. You could open those reprints that were back in 14 or 13 or something. I don't know Yu-Gi-Oh! Like super well. I know some stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think Japanese has any issues coming in the future. I mean, I've had people ask me to do Japanese content for a long time now, way before these crazy box prices. So I know it's got legitimate demand, legitimate popularity. It's not just like a poor man's English, or anything like that.
100%. Yeah, I don't see either one ending anytime soon at all.
Hey guys, we're gonna go a little bit longer, as long as Brian's okay with it. But if anyone's got questions, I left a message in the chat. If anyone's got questions, leave your question in the chat. We can cover it. If you got a question for either one of us,
I'll tell you what. I expected to do this phone call on my computer, and since we had to change to my My phone is very much dead. So do you mind if I run upstairs and get a charger?
Go ahead, man.
Okay, I'm gonna go dig one out.
Yeah.
I was prepared, guys. It's just my computer. My computer wasn't ready for this, so I'll be right back.
Good. Well, guys, thanks for everyone for stopping by tonight. Appreciate all the fun that's going on in the chat. I didn't bring some of it up because I know you guys are all going pretty hard at each other, but I think we all had a good time. And man, I hope this helped everyone watching this. I mean, especially like from, watching my channel. Obviously, I'm not full-time at this. I don't have a full-time business. I don't have distribution. And I don't do anywhere near $3 million in sales a year. And so just to hear from someone, that at that level that, yeah, he doesn't have an official LGS or, spot, but just to hear from someone that moves that kind of product and, deals with those things on a day-to-day basis. I mean, it should help everyone out to kind of see both sides of this. Like we talked about earlier, if you weren't here during the beginning, you absolutely do not need distribution to, 1, start a business, 2, to invest in Pokemon, 3, I mean, obviously to collect, but it's not like it's not a make or break scenario. You don't absolutely have to have distribution to be able to invest. We talked about it before, but Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike, Battle Styles, $80 was less than distribution. A lot of these boxes, when stores were sitting on them too long, they would drop down to like, $89, $90 a box, which were just over distribution prices. Now we're starting to see Scarlet Violet settle in like the mid 100s, maybe like 107, 108 range. I mean, we're talking what, $12 or so over distribution. The numbers are so small that when you magnify it out to, 2-3 years of growth, if you look back at all the Sword and Shield era sets, like look at base set or Rebel Clash. I mean, do you really care that you got in $5, $10 less than a store did when it's $300, $200 a box, or Evolving Skies is where it's at, or even when they're these, a lot of the boxes are moving up in the 140s, 150s, even 170s. It's like the longer things go out and the more you have, the higher amount amount of boxes or cases you have, it really becomes minuscule, worrying about that extra $5 or $10 that, a store could have gotten that. And like Brian said, stores have a lot of different things to worry about. They have to worry about the constant cash flow, right? They have to consistently keep money coming in to buy the new product and keep their customers happy. And so, they're not necessarily sitting on that product the way, if you want to invest in this stuff, you are. So it's not like you have people out there that are so far ahead of you, because a lot of them they have different things they're focusing on. So I wouldn't let distribution discourage anyone out there from, wanting to invest in this stuff. And also it's really cool to hear, because a lot of the stores, or at least a lot of the YouTubers that I follow, they have most of their business done on, singles and grading. And it's really nice to hear from someone who has it all in sealed, does all their business in sealed, because you constantly hear how, there's not a lot of margins in sealed product. And I mean, I know Mason Cardinal Gaming, he spoke about it before, that stores make their money in the singles and the bulk, and that's where the money's made when the collections come in. And Brian, he's saying, hey, I make all my money in sealed. So it's just awesome to see both, both levels and all the different routes you can take in the business and collecting, investing side of this hobby. He's back.
It took a lot of effort. My setup's complete trash, but it's charging now.
You're good. Wow. What'd you say, you're moving in like 2 weeks?
Yeah, we bought a big old ranch. So the top floor is the same size as my house, which is nice and small and perfect for us. And the basement's massive, which is great for all my crap down here. So it'll be nice not tripping on stuff walking through my basement.
Yeah, man. Hey, if I would have known you were going through a move, I would have told you we could wait on all this. But I appreciate you coming on.
Oh, I love this stuff. It's I'd be bored otherwise. Stress is fun.
All right, let's see. Yeah, this is that one of those questions I got like on my channel before. It seems like vintage Japanese cards are not as expensive as English. Am I wrong or right? Or is Japanese cards about to explode? No, and so Japanese cards have always been less than English. Like there's obviously the one of the one of a kind Japanese promos where English doesn't get them. Like, oh man, those like the Team Rocket Giovanni and like the Jesse and James and Meowth, that those promo cards that were released back in, I think, like Pokemon's Generations time, maybe. I forget when they were, but those are like $10,000 for PSA graded. I mean, there's crazy Japanese promos, but as far as like set cards, English was most of the time always more expensive than Japanese until recently. So I don't know if that's going to continue. I don't know what the future is, but no, it's I'm not going to say anything because I could be wrong, but I would strongly disagree with, hey, I'm going to go back to all these older sets and buy up all the Japanese cards before everyone else piles in. I don't know if that's going to happen. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I'll be very on. I don't know a lot about the singles market or vintage, but just kind of my gut instinct is like, I don't see the vintage Japanese card market changing in any way compared to what it was 5 years ago. It seems completely separated from everything I'm doing, at least with this new Japanese stuff. If you want to invest in it, like Mazel Tov, great. But to me, it's not going to get, to me, where as boomy as it's going to be with the Japanese sealed stuff, I can't imagine. We're at the point where like these new Japanese sets are being pre-ordered for $250. It's not going to get crazier than that because the market won't be able to handle it. It's stupid. It's absolutely. I feel bad for anyone buying the stuff I sell. It's awful market. And if Japanese vintage hasn't gone up by now, I don't see it going up in any sort of exponential way. It would already have done it by now, so it'll go up in value. I'm sure, but it's not like, ooh, time to buy in. Like, I just don't think I don't think that's a relevant argument at all. I'd look into that more, but I don't want to give like investment advice, but that's my gut instinct.
Well, here's a perfect question for you, someone who doesn't collect. Which Pokemon cards should we be collecting right now? Tag team, rainbows, GXs, what?
Oh boy. I think, like, again, I'm not a huge like master of this stuff, but I think any of the I don't even know what the official name, like I think high class is like the name they give them. I think those are always good. Like tag team, the tag team GX All Stars in Japan, at least. Because every year we get like a new one. Like it was Shiny Star, it was Tag Team GX All Star, Shiny Star V, VMAX Climax. Now we're on V Star Universe. This December we're getting some Shiny Star Hero, some shiny set. It's gonna be crazy. And I think, in my view, every time one of those new like high class sets come out, the older one, like the one prior, becomes like, ooh, this is the last one. Let's get it. Like VMAX Climax is up. It's like $130 a box, and it seems like just yesterday we were selling them for $75. And I think V-Star Universe will be the same when the next thing comes out. So I'm always a big fan of like that stuff because it seems like every year there's kind of a sequel to it. So like to me that would make sense. The rainbow stuff, to my knowledge, people don't seem to like those, and I don't see people starting to like them in the future. I think this is just my opinion. To me, if something is severely hated by a lot of people, I don't think that necessarily makes it a good investment because no one's gonna miss it. I don't know. I think a lot of it's, to the channel's namesake, nostalgic. I don't feel like anyone's nostalgic over rainbows. That could be a horrible opinion, but right. I don't know. People seem to make fun of those now, so I don't see why they'd want them later.
Yeah, so I finally reached a point where I've actually started collecting again. That's great. And so like I've actually give myself a certain amount of money each month now to just spend. And it's kind of going back to when I first got in the hobby. I'm just gonna buy what I want, and I'm not gonna worry so much about like the investment aspect of it and exactly how much is gonna go up and trying to make the absolute right financial move. I still do that. Like I'm still investing in still product. I still buy each set that comes out, and depending on how I feel about it, varying amounts. But I've really got, so like as far as me, what I'm collecting, I'm going back when I got back in the hobby. So I'm going back to like XY. So I have a stack right here I just got in the mail today. Like Oh, I'm not. Again, like I just said, I'm collecting. So I already know the hate.
Are you still here?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. The
I don't
whole
know either.
broadcast went down on Streamyard. I know what I was getting into those. I haven't been worried about like the whole like, hey, I'm gonna search and find copies and grade it and make the margins. Like, I don't feel like doing that anymore. I mean, you know, like I've talked about before, I make enough money in my job right now. You know, I invest in sealed product, and when I started buying stuff I want, I'm just buying what I want. And so I have a stack here, and all of these, what I'm buying right now, I'm buying a bunch of XY full arts. That's why I went back. So like full art Charizard from Flashfire,
Word.
Generations, you know, promo.
Okay, word.
I mean, let me see some other cool ones. But yeah, so I'm just going back and buying like a lot of that type of stuff. Like a bunch of the Mewtwo cards from Breakthrough, all that type of stuff. Okay. Like the secret rares, like, you know, the secret rares from XY, like all that's like the type of stuff I'm looking at. I did get some to grade, like, you know, one of the Mewtwo's, like another one of the Dialga silver cards from Phantom Forces. I graded one of these, but I got an 8, and I'm really trying to get a 9. I don't want to pay $400 for a 9, which they were going for. So that's what I've been buying for myself. And like I said, I've just given myself a kind of allowance each month at this point. I'm just like, hey, me and my wife, we're doing good financially. You know, I already have investment money set aside for Pokemon, and I invest in other things. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start treating myself again. I'm gonna start buying stuff to collect, and that's just kind of where I'm starting. So like, that's that stuff. I'm definitely not telling anyone to go invest in XY full arts. I'm not saying they're gonna be like the next hot thing.
To the moon.
That's where I'm at right now.
I think that's the best strategy, because it's like, if anyone actually knew the answer, they just do that. Like, no one, like, I think people see me on TikTok or YouTube, they're like, oh, he makes a lot of money in sealed product, he must know the secret. I'm like, if I knew the secret, I'd be rich, and I wouldn't need to work. Like, I don't, it's I think you're nailed. I'm like, and like, buy what you really enjoy, because chances are, if you're a good fan and you at least know, if you have an opinion as a good fan of Pokemon, whatever you buy, probably someone else will want in the future. That's I mean, because, like, you know, the XY era stuff, it's like there are plenty of people in their 30 to 32 range who, during the XY era, were in their late 20s, which your late 20s is like, or mid 20s, whatever. Your 20s is when you have a good job with lots of money, probably no real responsibilities yet. So it's like such a nostalgic time for you. And it's like, if that's such a magical time for you to buy cards, in 10 years, people are going to remember that too. Be like, ooh, I remember this Charizard from XY. Like, I want that. And they might pay double what you did. I mean, there's just no secret to it.
A lot of these XY cards, I mean, not to like go all investment. Like I said, I want to strongly say that I'm not like about investing in slabs. So I'm just going to say that. But as far as a lot of these XY, their pop reports are a lot like vintage. I mean, like they're in the hundreds. Most all of them are like the 9s and the 10s are in the hundreds. Some of them get up to over 1,000, but like when you look at Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield, they're all in like the multiple thousands, like thousands and thousands of 10s and 9s. And so, you know, in my mind, it's like, well, you know, if it ever some point in the future, like these do start to move, there's only a few hundred people that have to like these to start moving the price up. as opposed to multiple thousands of people going back to Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield. Whereas, hey, I get it. Sword and Shield, it is going to have those thousands probably. Like, you know, this is when, other than when I got in back in like Pokemon Go, you know, Generations Evolutions time, this is the other part of the hobby where most people are getting back in the hobby. I mean, this is the big boom like Sword and Shield is. So it's going to do great as well. I mean, Sun and Moon's kind of, you know, when the boom started, like kind of some of it's in no man's land. I don't know. Like you said, the rainbows, I don't know. But that's kind of my rationale buying these, to where it's like, you know, it's more of a owning something in my collection. And I think it's going to be a relatively good store of value. Do I see any of these things like appreciating as much as modern booster boxes that you buy for $100, $105 in the next 3 years? No, I don't. I 100% think modern boxes, buying them, you know, especially at your level or even a little above that, are going to appreciate more in the next 2 to 3 years than these cards are. I mean, that's what I think. But like people have said before, well, I don't like having stacks of cardboard boxes. Like, I'd rather have stuff to display. Yeah, me too. Like, that's why I'm buying this to display. But in no way, shape, or form am I fooling myself into thinking I'm making a very smart financial decision on investing in this. It's like, hey, some people want to go buy a boat and spend a weekend, you know, on the lake and do all that and spend money doing that. Other people want to do X, Y, and Z. I want to spend some extra money on Pokemon collection. That's all that is. So I just want to really be clear about that, because I know I'll get some hate for those slaps.
You always got to watch out for the hate. It's everywhere on the internet.
I try to get ahead of it, but it seems like I never can. Here, already, right here.
Very good,
Mr. Walrus. Grading now. What in the world is this hobby coming to? That quick.
There it is.
Oh, you gotta love it.
That's awesome.
Here again, Mr. Why would Alex collect something that will lose money? Buy XY full art, y'all. All right, here's a real question. How old are you too? If you don't mind, of course. I'm 29. I keep telling myself year after year I'm getting too old, but I deal with cardboard and grading 24/7 and already advise a group of friends.
That's awesome.
I'm 32. You were 30?
30 as of April 25th. So
I think all of us are in that mid 20 to like late 30 range. So
yeah,
I mean, I don't.
My demo on the site is 25 to 37. That's 90% of my customers.
Yeah, that sounds about right with my channel analytics.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, honestly, like, people spending large amounts of money on Pokemon are going to be our age group, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, with the modern stuff, it is going to be a lot of like kids and their parents, just regular collectors, maybe players, people who actually go to the card shops and still actually play the game. I know it sounds crazy. They actually play the game like how it's meant to be.
Wow.
They open the cards. So like there's a lot of opening being done on modern, which is why the seal becomes valuable. But as far as like the high end, you know, PSA cards and the high end products, like once you get to like early XY, black and white, and so on back, there's obviously it's all adults buying that. You know, it's not. Right. That's not what you do casually. I don't think a parent's buying a $3,000 box for their kid to open on Christmas.
Probably not.
Could be wrong. Maybe out where you live with the, you know, Berkshire Hathaway people.
The Berkshire Hathaway people, very good chance of that. They're we got some bougie folk out here.
Hey, this is a question right up your alley. You talked about it earlier. Advice on trading up trend at card shows. How do you approach someone at a table that want to trade up with you?
Oh, that's a good question. I'll tell you. You go up to them before the camera turns on, and you go, "Hey, I'll slip you a 20 if you pretend to buy this card," and then you turn your camera on. Trust me, that's what happens. None of that stuff's real.
But without he's right. Without the on camera thing, like, you know, do you have advice for like, you know, I don't know, I guess like you said before, almost like that, like buy something somewhere and sell it somewhere else. Like, what's your advice on getting deals or trading up or doing things like that at card shows? Do you have any for that?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I mean, I guess those are two separate things. So I apologize if I got mixed up. If you're talking about like going from one table, getting something, and then trading it to a different table, I think it's pretty easy enough. If you want to like really mitigate your risk, what I think is good and what seems to be like ethically okay as you're like, hey, I'm really interested in that. Do you mind if I take a picture of it? Or you just take a video. Everyone's taking videos of everything. And what I would suggest is you take a video of anything you're kind of interested in, maybe a little glass case. And a lot of the stuff has prices on it. So then you walk away so you don't look like a weirdo. You get in the corner, you look at your phone, you watch the video, you pause as needed. You go, okay, I can get this for this price. And then you've got kind of their table at your fingertips at any time. And maybe you go to a different booth and you're like, hey, I've got this Gyarados here for this. Will you take this? And you can kind of use that as a tool. If you're talking about like making the trading up like trendy viral videos, you can do that, but no, but they're all fake. I want people to be very clear about that. And I know which viral video you're talking about. I don't know if that's real, but I can almost guarantee you, as like a marketer myself, like none of that's real. The person on the video, they get their little table shown, and that's great marketing for them, and it's fun. It's good, clean fun. And the person taking the video might go viral, so it's kind of a win-win. But any trade that's like, oh, you went from I'll give you a paperclip and you give me a graded Pikachu, like they just swap them back when the camera turns off. Like, don't get it twisted. Those are not permanent trades most of the time. It's just not, it's not reasonable. I think at like one time, maybe the first time they did it was, but from what I know about, like I've been to 10 collecticons now. In full disclosure, I don't want this to sound mean, but I'm a very honest person. A lot of those tables hate those things because every person with a TikTok account does it. And chances are whoever you ask is not going to want to do it at this point because they've been asked like 17 other times. And they're tired of giving away graded Gyarados for, you know, your green, your grass energy, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Sorry, this question was earlier. So I have friends and customers pushing me to do some kind of content or specific categories of advising certain things. How would you decide what path to take? How to know what's your immediate thoughts on this situation? You got to do what's right for you. I mean, I get people like giving me like I don't guess not advice, but like asking me to do certain things or, you know, talk on certain things or shy away from certain types of content. At the end of the day, you know, you have to do you, you know, sometimes it seems like if it seems like people are telling you to do something or not to do something, you don't really know if it's the right thing because it could just be a few people. Their voices might sound louder than they really are. You might start producing the kind of content you think they want, and now you don't have anyone listening anymore. So YouTube's a funny place. You know, you really have to just kind of put out what you think is good content, see how the community feels about it. Pay attention to your comment section. Pay attention to how the algorithm picks it up. You know, sometimes it's not the content; it's like the thumbnail or the titles. If you're asking, so I mean, it's a whole bunch of different things. And you're talking to a guy with like 4,000 subscribers, so obviously I don't have things figured out here on YouTube yet. So
in a year though,
I mean, you need to ask someone who's got a lot more experience than I do. I'm very much still learning. I very much still reach out to multiple people for advice on how to use programs still and how to set things up. So I'm the wrong person to ask about YouTube. What about you? I check out your channel for a second. How was your content strategy? Just kind of when you feel like it, like, are you trying to like, I mean, were you trying to build your channel or your store at one point with your channels?
YouTube, I don't do that at all because making horizontal videos takes too much time. And you're not giving yourself enough credit. You got nearly 5,000 subs in 1 year. That's freaking wild because it's exponential from there. And your content's fantastic. But I gave up on that because YouTube is the hardest platform to grow on. Like, as someone that's tried multiple times in and out of Pokemon, YouTube is tough. Like, if you can do it, if you can crack it, I'm sure it's amazing. I'm done pursuing it. I've tried so many times. I do TikTok, and that was great. We got our first 100,000 in sales without ever spending $1 in advertising, just because we made some TikTok videos. And it's so funny because every time I think like this one's gonna go viral, it sucks. It's sometimes one of my worst videos. And then some other video, it takes off. It's goofy. But my strategy is to hold the camera in a selfie mode and just talk and then maybe throw music on it if I'm feeling ambitious. Like, my content is complete ass. It's all just like my content is the content that I'm speaking. Like, if you don't find my advice or humor or whatever valuable, there's no redeeming factor with the quality. Like, I'm love it or
You're
hate
right.
it.
I mean, you're 100% right. Like, literally, I'll put like a bunch of time into researching all these different things and pulling up all these charts and graphs and all these different, like, you know, PSA reports or all these different like sales data. And I'll even tell my wife, I'll be like, this is going to be a good video. And I'll get on there like 2 hours later and it'll show like 10 out of 10 on your last videos. Like, it'll be like the lowest of I'm just like, all right. Then other times I'll just walk in and turn the camera on and just one take, just like ramble off some stuff about the market. And then, oh, boom, that video's to the moon. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't like, personally, when I'm listening to YouTube, and I guess I could use this knowledge to maybe get successful, but I probably won't because I'm lazy. I tend to watch this kind of content more than like polished content because it's kind of like, it's good background noise. Like, I'll just be doing my orders and, oh, you know, Nostalgia, I was talking to this guy about this. And I like it's not cut, it's not all choppy, because you need to do that for all the crazy, oh, you need to cut every 13 seconds or people lose interest. Don't forget to put Subway Surfers in there. It's I like this just long stream of conscious content. Yeah. And so I think if I did what you're doing, I'd probably see a little more success, but you're already doing it, so what's the point?
Hey, there's always room for different voices. I mean, we've seen that, you know. I feel like there's so many different like avenues to go down this whole Pokemon route, you know, and everyone likes to hear it. I mean, that's why I like to have so many different guests on the channel. Is every single person has a different route they're taking in the hobby, you know?
I love it. Yeah. Like, I've watched a lot of your newer ones, and there's always a different guest. And I like that Cardinal guy, Mason. He's a cool dude, from what I know. I mean, I like his videos, but yeah, I like the different people, because the funny thing is, and this isn't a bad or negative thing, but everyone thinks everyone else is wrong. like I'm like, oh, singles, there's no money in that. It's way too much work. And like, right. My good buddy, he's got a store just north of me in Benson, Nebraska, and he basically makes all his money in singles. And I'm like, bro, I don't know how the hell you do, Mason. I think the LGS stores do well with that, but it's just so funny, like, watching the guests on your channel, because everyone has like this opinion, including me. And it's only correct in your little world, and it works. And if it works, great. So this person asking about, you know, what kind of content strategy it is, it's like, as long as you're being like true to yourself and not faking it, you're probably going to do pretty well. Because if you fake it, it might work. You can fake Rudy's vibe from Alpha Investments. You could fake Danny Phantom's vibe of like being a very like charismatic, good person. You can fake any vibe. Yeah. And it'll probably do well short term, but then you're going to get real tired real quick and you'll just fizzle out.
Yeah, I get accused of copying Rudy's vibe a lot. And I get it. Like, I guess to a sense I have, although I'm like nowhere near his level. But, you know, it's not really copying his vibe as much as just the turn on the camera, walk in front of it and talk type thing. And I guess because he got so big doing that, it's like I'm copying his vibe, but it's just like, guys, really, it's just like I talked about before, I don't really know how to edit. I'm not a big tech guy. I'm learning a little bits as I go, but I just turn on the camera and talk about Pokemon. And, you know, I guess it kind of comes off a little bit like that. So I get accused of that sometimes. And that's cool. Like, if I'm going to be accused of being like someone, I'm glad it's Rudy, but
yeah, I mean,
not too many ways.
I wasn't saying you were like, I just watch him a lot. And I guess I see the similarity now that you mention it, but yeah,
but it's like, how do I differentiate myself? Like, I'm turning on a camera, walking in front of it, in front of a display of Pokemon and talking. Like, I don't know how many different ways to do that.
Right. What copyright infringement is there in turning on a camera and standing there? Like, there's not a lot of copyright IP there.
Pokemon Jack, I'm going to KC and getting Veronica Taylor's Ash autograph. Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, because I'm in St. Louis, so I'm not far from there. Thoughts on getting her autograph on a card where Ash is picking Pikachu? Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts? I mean, obviously you don't deal in it, but what are your thoughts on the autographs? Like me personally, I'm not an autograph guy. Like I'd rather have the clean image of the card, but I know like autographs are, they sell really well too. Like, so as far as like personal preference, I'm not about the autograph. Like I'd rather have a Charizard, a first edition Charizard clean than have, the signature on it. But other people are absolutely different. Again, just like we were just talking about, there's a market for each different person. But I don't know, as far as like future values, like if she were to ever like pass away one day, like I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's funny. I actually have a card signed by Sarah Nanacheni, the newer Ash. Super nice gal, by the way. But
how did you hear?
The Collecticon.
Oh,
They all go to Collecticon all the time.
okay.
Super chill chick. I liked her. Veronica Taylor, I've seen her live, but I've never spoke to her. But I'm sure she's wonderful too. So Sarah, at least on her bench, because I was gonna do that, which is actually really funny. I know what card you're talking about. I was gonna do that one, and then I got up to Sarah's booth, and she has like Pikachu cards with Ash's hat. I couldn't even tell you. I have it somewhere over here, but it's super adorable. It was like for an extra $5, and then you just sign this, and so like she just signed the card from her table. And that was easy. So if you want to bring your own card, I mean, great, she'll sign it. I don't see Veronica or Sarah's autograph carrying any sort of value at all. It's probably devaluing the card, if we're being honest, but it's not all about making money. So like me personally, I think they're both super cool. I did it with Sarah, and like
Well, be careful. Be careful on this channel saying it's not about making money.
Well, fair. I do not see even a teeny semblance of reality that Veronica or Sarah's signature on a Pokemon card will raise the value of that card. I don't see that at all personally, but I like it. Like it's on my display. I think it's cool that like Ash Ketchum signed my card. I think that's rad. It's just even like Mitsuhiro Arita, it's like,
yeah,
even his signatures, like, yes, they do carry weight, but I feel like most people would rather have a clean one, and you're niching yourself down a bit. And that's a bad example because he's absolutely huge, and plus he's not signing anymore, so that might affect things. But like Sarah and Veronica, they go to, I think, 8 Collecticons every year, and then there's other conventions besides the Collecticon brand. So by no means are these autographs rare. I've gone to every single one, and there's like 90 people in line both days of both conventions. So by no means are you getting like a rare product doing that. But I don't want to like sound negative. They're awesome, and I think you should do it for fun. Just like you're not going to get rich off it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. He also asked, when looking at a card chart from TCG, what are you looking for in the trend before buying the card? I mean, you're probably. I mean,
that's all you. That's all you
mean,
tell me.
So I'm not into that. I mean, like someone like Dan or Retro or like I don't know if Mason really messes over that too much, but like someone like that might be able to tell you better advice on that. For me, like when I'm buying like like some of these cards like for collection, obviously I'm doing some due diligence. I'm putting some thought of it into like if they're going to hold their value and be investable. And so what I look for is when I went and bought a lot of these cards, I went through and I just searched all the cards on eBay. And so I went through and, if they said like if they in the actual title said like played or damaged, I didn't waste my time. But every other one, I clicked every single image and made all new tabs. And I went and looked at the front and backs of every card, every one on the market. So some of them had, 150 copies on the market. And I really saw what cards I thought were even possible to grade, like anywhere close to a 9 or a 10. And so I got an idea of, okay, there's this many cards on the market right now that maybe here there's people on TCG Player that have, there maybe, 10, 12, 15 available on TCG Player at near mint. And then there's only 10 9s and no 10s on the market. So when I see that, I'm like, okay, obviously not many of these are getting open because a lot of these boxes now are $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 of like XY base, Flash Fire, Phantom Forces, things like that. So I'm like, okay, not a lot of these are getting opened. There's very, very not many at all mint copies on the market right now to grade and actually make the population go up. The market is so slim to where if only a few people want to start buying this card, it's going to send the price up pretty quickly. And I just see like there's a lot of factors working together for certain cards. And so those are the factors that I look in to move into a card is when now could there be those people out there who are just sitting on a ton of them? Yeah, there could, but you always have to think of the other side of it. It's like if these 9s are selling for, $75, $100 or more, why would they still be sitting on those with PSA at $15? Most logical people would already be grading those and trying to hit that 9 and 10 and realizing the gains and flipping. And so if they were sitting on them from back in the day in like 15, 16, 17, yeah, I get it wasn't worth it then, but it's worth it now. And so I don't really worry about the people who have those theories about, oh, there's a whole hanger full of base set booster boxes. Oh, people have, a whole mess of these XY, full arts or XY secret rares sitting in. Yeah, maybe, I know Evolutions is crazy, but that's a whole different story. I just don't believe it. And that's kind of what going into a market is. Any market, the stock market, real estate, you either believe it or you don't believe it. And you have a view of how it's going to perform. My view is I just don't believe that a lot of these copies are as many out there as people think in 9 and 10 condition. So those are what I look for. As far as like the ultra modern, like Sword and Shield, now Scarlet Violet, like trying to read the price charts on TCG Player, I think that's a crapshoot. I mean, it's basically whatever gets pumped or manipulated or whatever waifu's in favor with all the fanboys that week. I don't know. I can't predict I can't predict the super modern stuff. What about? I mean, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, to your airplane hanger of card A, B, or C, the thing is, even if someone did have a hanger full of base set booster boxes, it really wouldn't be to their benefit to unload them all at once. That would make no sense. Like if you can afford, if there's all these base set boxes or all these whatever cards, if you can afford to have hundreds of these things, you're rich. And if you're rich, there's a good chance you're somewhat smart financially. And if you're somewhat smart financially, you wouldn't unload all this stuff and F up the market. You're going to sell one box every 6 weeks or whatever. So that's my opinion there. But yeah, as far as the modern stuff, it's so damn arbitrary. You can't have an opinion on something that's as random as the modern nonsense. It's all just, it's luck. If you want to gamble, that's a great way to do it.
Yeah. Or if you're good at pre-grading and you have sellers that actually take good pictures, which, man, there are so many sellers that just like, they still just don't get it. They don't take good pictures of their cards. They don't show the backs of their cards. Like that just automatically sets you a notch down of everyone else out there. So, but yeah, if you got a good seller, they got good feedback. They show very close-up images of the front and back of the card. You really think it's going to get a 10? You can buy a bunch of those cards at X amount. The 10s are going for this. If you can do the math, you get a certain amount of 10s out of all the cards you buy, you're going to make X amount of profit. You can definitely play that game, but no, as far as like timing, when a card's going to spike, it's impossible. It's like the stock market, Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
Space Frog asked you, will you be selling or do anything in person locally at all in the future here?
Yeah. So I used to go to all the Collecticons and it was super fun. And then I got busy enough where I'd feel bad leaving my wife. Like, hey, we did 12,000 today. Go get it. So I'm doing a lot less traveling this year until I figure out my life, which is about as ambiguous as the modern market. As far as Omaha, like I know there's like a Nebraska there's some Nebraska con event, like ironically in Iowa, which is weird. I'll be there probably, so you can come say what's up if you're there, but I won't have like a booth.
So you don't ever set up at Collecticons because you don't do singles, right?
A lot of people do sealed stuff at Collecticon, so I mean I could, but when I went, I preferred like walking around and just like talking to everyone. If you're at a booth, if you don't have like a friend with you, you're kind of stuck there, or it's like, hey, steal my stuff while I walk away. So you're I don't want to do that. I had a little shop I set up in we have a local mall, Westroads Mall, where you can they have like small business weekends where you set up your little shop. That was fun. It showed that on the Vice premiere thing, and it's fun to talk to people in person, but It's just not realistic right now, and I hope that changes because I like that a lot.
And so you've never had that like itch to have a brick and mortar LGS?
Oh, I had the itch, and then I realized that was my crazy bipolar brain talking, and I was like, my wife's like, hey, chill. I realized that like the whole reason one of the many reasons I started this business was so I could do whatever the hell I wanted whenever I wanted. And when you're a brick and mortar, you have hours, and you need to be staffed, and you need to be there. And I don't like driving in the rain or the snow, which is really bad when you live in Nebraska. So,
Brian, don't do it. It's a trap.
Gaming, or is that just some random Mason?
That's Mason, not him.
That's okay. What's up? I love your stuff. Yeah, it looks like, and it looks so fun until you think about it, and then I'm like, oh, that would be a nightmare. It looks terrifying to me. Like, and then at least in Nebraska and Omaha, like retail space, the leasing is so damn and like a good retail space here that's like 2,000 square feet. When you pay the NNN, the taxes, and this and the that and the this, it's like $7,000 to $9,000 a month, and I'm just like, wow. And
I would never think that for Omaha.
I know. I didn't either. I thought it'd be cheap as hell. I mean, we're not that cool here. And if you go to like kind of the scary side of Omaha, it's like still like $4,000 or $5,000 a month. And I'm just like, oh, the price per square feet, you look at it and you're like, oh, that's not horrible. But then there's this thing called like NNN, triple N, and that's like some legal, I don't know what it stands for, but it almost doubles the price per square foot.
That's even scarier than double N. All right.
It's beyond me. And then there's like liability insurance. If someone walks in there and breaks their neck on a Charizard stuffed animal, then you get sued. That it looks like a damn nightmare. So I need more space. But real estate here for residential is relatively cheap. It's getting bad, but like my house, it's 3-bedroom, 2-bath. We sold it for $300K, which is way too much. Like that shouldn't have gone that high. And to get a bigger house with a 1,500 square foot basement, it's only an extra $1,000 a month. We're paying $1,400 a month, and the bigger house is $2,400 a month. So I'm like, well, Jesus, I could buy a house and build equity and pay $1,000 for this space, or I can go build someone else's empire, a landlord, paying like 5 years. It's all like 5 years. And I'm like, I don't know if I'll still be doing this in 5. I hope so, but like, shoot, I don't know. So that
you just told me you're gonna be doing this till like mid-50s. Come on, man. Well, don't lose that bullishness.
I'm not betting $8,000 a month I'll be doing it till like I have no risk here, dude. Like if I broke both of my arms and my third and ankles, like I would just have my wife clearance all this stuff out and I'd be done. Like I got a mortgage and that's all I got. If I had a building, oh my God, the amount of stuff, like it looks awful. It looks so fun, but until you think about it, and Mason, I think, nailed it. It looks so not fun.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know either way. I mean, I think, I guess they both have their goods and bads, right? I mean, I'm sure, having an LGS, you probably enjoy, hosting like the tournaments and the game nights, or I'm sure you have like collections or, single cards off the street walk in where you hit home runs on, and
yeah, that would
like be that. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like I'm a lot more like you. Like I really want to have, all my time myself and spend it the way I want to. I get that.
Yeah, I like mad respect to those with LGS physical stores. It's very impressive.
Well, hey man, I mean, I don't know about you, but I was gonna go ahead and call it here soon. Is there anything you want to kind of say before we head out? I mean, obviously, shout out your show. So, guys, in the description, I have Brian's store and his YouTube. So, I mean, I don't know how much he posts on his YouTube, but I can afterwards I'll link your What, TikTok or Instagram? You
It's
use more?
mostly, I have a ton of followers on TikTok, but as
Okay.
I'll say to people, followers are complete nonsense and they're all fake. So I've got 35,000 followers, but like probably 4,000 care what I have to say. And then Instagram, I have 6,000 followers, so like that one's better, but probably only like 500 people care what I have to say on there. So
All right, so I'll leave those links too. But yeah, definitely check out his website. It's real easy. It's just pokeyne.com. Super
yeah,
easy. So
nobody on YouTube cares about me, so you can just kill that link. It doesn't matter.
all you gotta do is have live streams and have chats where people can talk nonsense for a couple hours. It's like it's all you gotta do.
Yeah, it's just easier to be a guest on those things. Like, oh yeah, I'll come on. It'll be fun.
But what's going on with the store? Anything you want to shout out?
Well, let's see. So everyone, I know for sure there are people asking about the 151 set, which comes out June 19th. That's going to be awful. Its MSRP will be $40 like it always is. Pre-orders from Japan, for me, I'm a big deal. I'm buying like 1,000 boxes of this crap. They are charging me $125, and then I think the market price here is like $150. So we're not doing pre-orders on that because I'd feel like a complete like, no, I'm not doing that. So be patient. You'll save money, I promise. That's my big message to the world. We have cool merch, which like normally I'm like, nobody cares about my merch, but we have a good gimmick. So you can get this cute ass Charizard shirt. And our gimmick is the shirts are $25, but if you buy one, you get 3 $5 promo codes to use on the site for your next 3 orders. So you're almost sort of paying $10 a shirt, which isn't bad.
So were you not worried about using the Charmander on the shirt?
You know, there's a lot of legality versus that versus this. And for the record, I'm pretty sure this is not okay, but I'm doing it anyway because everyone else does.
Yeah, when I was building this shirt, originally I had like actual booster boxes and like the actual UPCs with the Pikachu.
Yeah.
And I had the illustrator like it's just like, hey man, look, I'm just gonna let you know. Here's like sent me like the whole like list of like the laws and stuff. I'm just like, okay, well, what can we do? He's just like, I just suggest you take the logos off the box. We'll do this, do that, and came up with this shirt. And I'm just like, all right, it's close enough.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, well, it's not an official Charmander. It's one of those things where number one, I don't really matter enough for I don't think for them to care. I go to these collecticons and there are tables of people selling all sorts of posters and fan art and this and that, and I'm like, those people are a way bigger deal than me when it comes to this. They're gonna get sued first. That's my thought process.
Yeah, hey, I hear you. Hey, we're all about taking risks here, right?
That's right.
Go for it.
The moon, we'll see. If I get sued, it'd be a great story to tell my kids. So.
Well, guys, anyone who stuck around this whole time, thanks so much. Anyone who watched us after the fact and stayed through the whole thing, again, thanks a ton. All the links will be to all of Brian's stores and links, so make sure to check him out. Other than that, I'll be back here in a new video soon, and we're out.
Thanks, everybody. It was a good time.
All right.